Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. Dave Turner is here. Hi. Sean Bell is here.
Hi.
Matt Murray is here.
Hi.
James Farley is here.
Hello.
Oh, for fucking hell, James.
What? Unbelievable.
Why have you got to ruin it every time? Why?
What are you talking about?
It was going well. Everyone was doing it. And it was you. You fucked it up.
How?
You fucked it up. You fucked it, James. What's the matter with you? What's the matter with you? What do you mean, how?
Well, how? Everyone just said... I thought you don't have to say hi, did you? I thought it was a variation. It was fine.
No, we all said hi.
We all said hi in exactly the same way. Okay.
We'd like to start the show by thanking our Patreon producers. This month they are the Full Nels crew. Aaron Patrick, Simon Nelson, Tom S, Jack Oven, Moomin Biscuit, Dave Ernsberger, Colin Brown, Gazman, Gabby Pereira, Graham Mackay, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Man, Rocketman 76, and My Dog Skip. They're in the Full Nels crew, aren't they? They're the crew. They are the crew. How did they become the crew? How can you join the crew? Well, there's a big initiation process, but first, before you get to that stage, go to patreon.com/TCGS and you can support the show. Isn't that great? You could get bonus shows. You can get live talksovers. There's all sorts of tiers, isn't there, Matt?
There's so much over there. It's overwhelming. There's just so much content.
Really is shaping up to be a great website, that one. So why don't you pop along to patreon.com/TCGS and help support the show. Should we get onto feedback? Should we get straight into feedback? They all love it last week.
We're not going to have a 45-minute discussion about the football, no?
No, please.
I was trying to avoid any mention of it. I tell you what, if you're depressed by the football or if you're depressed by the month of hearing about a sport you don't like, we have got an antidote for you this week, and we're very, very excited about a live talks-over that we're doing on Wednesday night, 9 p.m. over at... it's twitch.tv/TCGSCO. Yes, that's our Twitch channel. If you go over there at 9 o'clock on Wednesday the 14th of July.
So on the day this podcast releases.
That's right. If you're listening to this on the Wednesday when it comes out, which you should, because you don't want it spoiled. You don't want it spoiled, dear. You want to get all the hot gossip on the day it comes out. You want to hear that news. Then, go over to twitch.tv/TCGSCO on 9 o'clock tonight. And we're doing a live talks-over watching Thumb Candy, a documentary from the year 2000 with the host of that documentary who's going to give us all the inside, the what they call it? What was that thing? Are they going to peek behind the curtain, is it?
Behind the curtain, the scoop, the inside scoop.
We're going to look right behind his fucking curtain. It's Ian Lee. He's going to be joining us live on Twitch, and he will be pausing the documentary throughout and explaining what has happened. And a lot happens in that documentary. I'm really excited about it. So make sure you're there, because it's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. But that's it. That's the stuff before the feedback. So I guess the next bit of the show is the feedback, Matt, right?
That's the process, yeah. Let's start with... I don't know if I can say this without laughing. It's Mike Coxmall.
I don't know what you're on about. There's nothing seedy about this. It's fine.
It's Michael Oxmow. Thanks for the amazing show last week, gentlemen. However, I'd like to send out a message of caution to other listeners. I think of myself as quite the maverick when it comes to personal safety, and I like to challenge myself. But the task I set myself and friends during the listen of last week's show went a bit far. We decided to play a drinking game, which involved a common word uttered by Dr. James Farley. Due to the level of academic qualification that an individual needs to acquire a PhD, we expected a certain level of vocabulary range. We were disappointed. So, with this false assumption, we took a drink every time James said the word like during his description of the game Chicory. At the last count, he used the word like 62 times in the description of the game. My friend is currently in intensive care getting the stomach pumped. So please, James, in the future, please stop using the word like, and when it's not necessary, people's lives depend on it.
You can't single James out for that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought I was the main
Sean's
culprit for
bad
this.
as well.
But then maybe I'll get away with it because
do it.
I'm so young and cool. So
I think it's because you've got the northern twang. I think you can get away with it with that. I think you just expect it with a northern accent.
I think it's also because this is the first time that I played a game that I did like. And so it was. That's why I said it so many times.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, most of those mentions were James going, "Do I like it? Yeah, I think I like it. I like a game."
I mean, we've spoken about this so many times on the show. Our vocal tics are absolutely horrific, and there is nothing we can do about it. There's nothing we can do about it. We wish we could get rid of them, but at the end of the day, we can't. We've gone into this. We've spoken about this on the bonus show quite a bit, haven't we? About how I will say a sentence and then I will repeat it. I'll say a sentence and then I'll repeat it. I do that a lot. The like thing a lot. All that stuff. Just deal with it, yeah? Just deal with it. That's what I say to you. On another note, though, he called you Dr. James Farley there, and I was curious about that, James. Now that the time has passed and you've been Dr. James Farley for a while, how widespread is that? You said it wouldn't go to your head, but this is the one. Is it Dr. James Farley on your debit card?
No, it is not.
Isn't it?
No, it's not.
All right. Oh, well done. I'm proud of you, man. It hasn't gone to your head.
Not. I don't use it at the only time I use it is in work. I don't use it for anything else because it's like there's no point at all in like using it at all. I just use it for work stuff. You don't drop it here and there. Nope. Just for the raised eyebrows you get. Oh yeah. Not really. No, doesn't happen. Well, I actually saw a medical doctor this weekend, and it wasn't referred to by any of the nurses, and the name on the door, it was Mr., not Doctor. And that made me feel a bit uneasy. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Obviously, I'm not going to say the name or anything, but it was like Mr. So-and-so, and I was like, ooh, this is weird. I mean, especially with what he had to fiddle with. Go on. Yeah, I mean, the other reason I've done it is it costs money to change all this stuff, so, I'm not making it.
Okay. There we go. There's the real reason.
See, if you're a proper doctor, you'd be rolling in it. You could do that straight away. But shame. All right, next bit of feedback.
Shame. Artificial. Okay, I get that. David, you old curmudgeon, how can you say it's not fun to get around in Ratchet? Like Sir James, it's Dr. James, I got the platinum, and it was great fun whizzing around with my hover boots or riding on a Speetle. I think perhaps you missed the point of Ratchet. It's just a mindless shooter with crazy weapons, and it's there to be enjoyed. Cheer up, man.
Yeah, I mean, all right, fair enough. I clearly don't like those games, right? Like, that's part of it. But I tried again this week to get more things ticked off the list, and it was just such a pain in the arse. Trying to, especially the ones where you've got trying to navigate around that level where you hit the crystal, James, and it changes the dimension you're on.
Yeah.
Horrific.
It's not
just like, right, okay, I need to go over there to pick this up. Oh, brilliant. This is going to take forever. Here's another thing as well. One of the things you need to do is find a spy bot on every single level.
Yeah.
Right? Am I missing something, or are they just completely random and you've just got to find them? No, you get like a map if you get certain things from somebody, I think, where it highlights where things are.
Yeah, I got that at some point during the campaign. It's like, hey, this tells you where everything is.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. But mine does that. Mine comes up with little icons.
Yeah, so then you just have to unlock the map. Yeah, so then you just track it and then go to it. Yeah, but it doesn't tell me where the spy bot is. Yeah, because you get spy bots for doing like activities and stuff as well. It's not just for like finding them. You get them for doing things as well. I don't know. I don't like it. See, I just think you've got like such a low tolerance for stuff. It's just mad. It's just like. I mean, I did 100% everything in Spider-Man, including the DLC. That is you've got to have quite a low tolerance for that, especially the screwball missions, right? Mm-hmm. So don't land that on my door. Does that work? Does that work, Sean? Is that a phrase?
Don't lay it on my doorstep, I think is. Oh, no, I can't. Close enough, I don't know now. I'm doubting myself.
I hated it. I hated the levels where you're on little platforms and you've got to decide how to get from one place to the next, and you're kind of like, okay, do I go on this rail? Where does it take me? I've got to use the little slingshot fit. It was just awful. I don't know why I'm doing it to myself. I don't get that at all. I enjoyed that. Maybe you should open your ears a bit and listen to what I'm saying, yeah? Don't just turn your back. on what I've got to say. That's what I've got to say, James.
Open your ears. Don't turn your back. Don't lay it at his door.
Yeah. If you land it at my door, then
with your ears closed. Turn
off,
with your back turned to him.
What is going on, James? What is going on?
I don't know. We're all tired and very upset about the football.
Very upset. Aaron Patrick, feedback. Despite being a long-term listener and Patreon supporter, for the first time I listened all the way to the end of the show last week. And my God, the outro is amazing. For anyone not aware, think of a more electronic/rocky version of the intro. Highly recommended everyone listens until the end and not switch off as soon as Matt starts talking about socials. Sorry, Matt. Keep up the excellent work.
Harsh.
Yeah, no, the outro is fantastic.
It's really good because it's got that, that bass line that was in the original version of the intro theme, wasn't it? But we had to, because we were trying to cut it down, obviously to make it the right length. That bit had to go, and I was gutted. So yeah, I'm really glad we've found a way to get that back in.
And to give him the special shout out, it's resident musician Nick Parton.
Yeah, man.
I would like a 10-minute mix. There's one bit, it kind of tries to goes a little bit euphoric for only like a few seconds. I want that for like another 5 minutes.
There's like a 5-minute version somewhere. Definitely. I remember the original one was about three or four
was
minutes.
It? No way.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Holy
and then
shit.
we had to cut it right down, didn't we? But it's about, and maybe I'll release it. Maybe sell it for £1. Maybe you should do that. I don't have much money, mate.
You should NFC it. NFC it. What am I talking about? No, not NFC.
Well, you should scan it and connect to his Android
NFT
device.
it even. Jesus.
Right, okay.
Okay, Barry from the MMAs. Hola, amigos. I'm the Milk Monitor and head of PR at the Matt Murray Appreciation Society. I've been tasked with reaching out to Mr. Murray and letting our leader know that the Society will commission his dream project. Last week, our Sega savant mentioned that he had the desire to write some Sonic fan fiction. Rather than having punters with a passing knowledge of the Sonic lore handle a story, we prefer you to be the wordsmith. Our only condition is that you include Big the Cat somewhere in the plot, wearing nothing but his belt and sandals. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Hang on. I don't remember you saying you wanted to do this, Matt.
Yeah, he did. He was talking to remember. He said about
There was a question.
We got a question about what
erotic
fandom
fan
could we?
fiction.
Oh
Could
yes,
do erotic.
yeah.
Do you know? I did wonder if this could be a bonus show feature.
Yeah, I think Matt, you should absolutely get on with this, and then we can give you feedback on a bonus show.
That's perfect for the bonus show. You write fan fiction and read it out on the bonus show. And
I was thinking we all read it out. Like we all take a part each.
Yeah,
and we do a dramatic reading.
He writes the right. Okay,
he's got to write the story, and we can read sections of it. There's got to be 4 sections basically, and then we'll read it.
Yeah.
But what if it's
that sounds
too
brilliant.
good?
What do you mean? What if it's too good? Then
if it goes down well, then we do one each. I think in the next.
It going down well is actually part of the story, Sean.
If it goes down well, we're going to be contacting Sega, obviously. You know, it's
true. Yeah, or they'll be contacting us, telling us to stop.
Yeah, please delete that private podcast because.
Okay, that's our bonus show then for this month. You better get writing, Matt.
Oh no, sorry, I've got documents half starred from years ago.
I was going to say if you need some inspiration, just have a quick Google. There'll be plenty of stuff.
There's a Google.
I'll tell you what, Matt, if you'd like, I can Google some Sonic fanfic like pictures, and then I'll send you one as inspiration. What do you think?
Yeah, print it out, put it on the wall.
Wait, hold on, James. Was the back of your mind going? Finally got an excuse to not get in trouble for looking at this stuff. I'm going to take full advantage. If you like, I could look at all the photos and
there's nothing wrong with DeviantArt. It's fine. You know, it's
unless you end up in the wrong corner of it.
All right,
this is easily done.
Right, okay. Is it right? Okay, fine. Let's move on.
I guess I'll get writing then, won't I?
Yeah, sorry, Matt. I didn't mean to say that to suggest that to like give you homework. It was just I was thinking about after last week.
And then next week James could complete a 2,000-piece puzzle. Don't know why, but just let's do it.
Be good, wouldn't it? Be funny.
Yeah. Okay, Terry. Seeing the news about GTA 6 now being modern day, I have a theory. Single players 80s, multiplayer is modern day. I think we might have discussed that, saying them both being standalone, they could take one in a crazy direction for single player and then just keep GTA Online being modern day, so they can have all.
That'd be mad though, man.
I don't think they're going to do that.
It ain't been funny. it's not like you can have the same city and set two completely different time periods in that one city. Like, from the 80s to modern day, a lot has changed.
Yeah, just think of the shops.
Like, that would be a completely new map.
You know, it's
Go on.
Yeah, you'd have to close them all down for the modern day one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I think you forget how long ago the 80s was. 40 years.
Oh, fuck off, Sean.
Okay, well, thanks, Carol Vorderman.
So when we give GTA 6 or we give GTA Online 2, it would still be GTA Online. And what are you saying? They're going to just totally discount the existing New York map or whatever the map is?
What?
The current
existing
map.
New York map.
So
right?
Whatever the current GTA Online map is,
Los Santos.
They're going to keep that, aren't they?
Well, it's not New York, is it?
Well, yeah, well, whatever location is. Where's the location?
It's all the same, aren't they, American cities?
It's all in that American place, isn't it? They'll drive on the fucking... What are you saying they're going to disregard? Yeah, they will disregard the current map, I think. That's the whole point, isn't it?
I don't. What do you mean? Based on what? I don't think they would. I don't think they would totally get rid of the map.
I think they fucking would. What about that? You can have a fight.
Well, I don't think they would.
Well, I think they would.
Outside now, you prick.
I will smash your face in. I'm sorry.
I will punch your shin so hard.
Well, what's interesting is we were reminded on Twitter that at least one actual Rockstar employee listens to this, and they politely said they find it interesting when we talk about this stuff.
Yeah, what? Because I love it, like the fact that someone out there they know that we're talking bollocks. Yeah. Like, they're absolutely 100%.
Yeah.
I think at one point, I was going,
but they know.
Well, the next one's London, right? I think I remember saying that.
No, when I saw that tweet, they said interesting.
If someone at Rockstar listening, though, how are we not being approached to be one of the civilians in the next one? Because it needs to happen, right?
Yeah.
Just one civilian. That's all I want to be. Yeah. One civilian. I could do this. Look. Hey, what are you looking at? That's brilliant. Right? You hear that all the time in GTA.
I can do great American accents as well, so I can...
Go on then. Let's hear one. Let's use your audition tape. Go on.
I'm walking here.
Right? You've just been... The character's just come and stood next to you and is staring at you.
Get out of my face.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, good stuff. No, when I saw that tweet saying it's interesting... what I actually imagined was he's like, fuck, they've rumbled us. They've actually got it nailed on the head. This is everything they've said is basically 100%. We have to change our plans. That's why, and to be clear, at one point, it's going to be like, yeah, it might be revealed this year. Then suddenly it's like, 5 years away. Because they're like, have you heard this podcast? Scrap the lot.
They cancelled it. They cancelled the big announcement, didn't they?
I was going to say, and Rockstar employee, if you are listening, if we see any of our fucking ideas in that next game, we'll be on to you, mate. We'll be to see you in court.
The fuck out of it. Hold on, wait, Sean. So they've said this in the past that it's interesting listening. Like they've commented on.
It said it this week on Twitter. Yeah.
Oh, this week. Damn. Yep. So it was definitely in referral to my. It's just going to keep expanding and shit. Whereas I thought if they didn't mention that, then it was definitely going to happen. Right? Okay, we should stop talking about that one person because they probably don't want it. Any other feedback, Matt?
Probably feel.
We're going to end with Simon Nelson. Dear TCGS team, thank you for being fantastic. And representing a welcome tonic throughout the pandemic. The streams, podcasts, and E3 coverage have been incredible. I'm sure that you have all had your fair share of hardship, but I wanted you to know how much I, and I'm sure the rest of the listenership, appreciate your efforts. Thank you. You each bring such wonderful, unique traits that result in far more than some of the individual parts. The jokes, personality, positivity, and delicious news, please don't change. One small request, can James do a breakdancing stream? That is all.
I don't do that shit anymore.
But it's such a lovely message, James. You can't surely say no to
that. Those days are behind me, man. I wouldn't even know where to get the cardboard anymore, man. What a delightful message. Thanks, Simon. That's actually that's
it's really
lump
nice.
in my throat.
Thanks, Simon. We'll welcome James. I mean, we can't allow someone like you, Simon, a full Nelson member who writes a lovely message for then just James say...
Just ignore the request.
Not doing it anymore. No, I mean, I think it's...
What an arsehole James Farley is, eh?
Thanks.
It's a full Nelson member and he turns around and goes, nah.
James, it doesn't cost you anything, right, just to do some head spins on Twitch.
No, I told you, it's just...
You can do it. You can pop it and lock it, or I don't know the kind of moves you guys do. But you've done this for 15 years,
does all the moves,
right?
Matt.
That's the problem. It's been a long time, and I don't want to just, I don't want to embarrass myself again.
You don't become regional breakdancing champion with only using 2 moves, Matt. You need to know a lot.
Yeah, you've got a full repertoire, James. You shouldn't be embarrassed about that. Like, you should be proud about all these breakdancing moves you can do.
Do you know? Look, I'm not going to ask you to do the breakdancing, whatever. Right,
you don't
I get
have to.
That.
It's unsaid.
But I've got one question. What was the name of your favourite breakdancing move when you were
probably the body
champion?
pop. I used to enjoy body popping, so that was the thing.
All right, okay, nice. Okay, well, get him drunk enough at the next meet. Right, okay, should we get onto the news, James?
Yeah, we can.
I'm looking forward to your segment. Are you doing your segment? Have we got some Farley's Fantasy Zone coming up?
We have, yeah, but should we do that at the end of this bit, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. You can't mix it in with the real news.
Yeah.
That's not the point, is it? Let's get the news out of the way as quick as possible and get to Farley's Fantasy Zone.
Which I'm really worried about, honestly.
Why?
Well, because I spent some time putting a jingle together, and I don't know how it's going to go down.
I'm so excited to hear this.
I've got a feeling it will go down very well. That's what I'm thinking.
Can I ask one question about it, James?
Go on.
Has it got you doing vocals on it?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, thank you.
Yes.
This is going to be the greatest show of all time. Let's get to the news. Come on.
Okay, so Nintendo have finally unveiled a new Switch, but it's the Switch OLED model.
Have they?
Yeah.
Nintendo have finally unveiled a new screen.
Yeah. No. And a new kickstand.
An adapter.
And a kickstand. Yeah,
and a new kickstand.
And improved audio, you bastards.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, look. This news come out in between us recording the last show and releasing the last show. So we were absolutely furious again. But let's let James tell the news.
Let's hear all the information, all the juicy information.
Okay, so as we just mentioned, so it's got a 7-inch OLED screen, an Ethernet port, and it's enhanced audio. But that's not Bluetooth, because that would be too good. Instead, it's just enhanced audio from the actual speakers or whatever. And it's also got this wider adjustable stand and 64 gigabytes of internal storage, so double what the original one has. And it's coming out October 8th for £309 in the UK. But yeah.
Yeah, so 30 quid more on the current one.
Yeah, basically,
Brilliant. Okay, right, let's dive into this, because I was pissing myself when I was watching this video. I saw it and I thought, wow, that looks really nice in the white. I genuinely think it looks really nice.
Yeah,
that screen looks really nice.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, well, I'm getting one because it looks great, and why not? And then when I watched the video, I thought, oh, that's why not. There's literally no reason for me to own one of these. There's literally no reason. So, for starters, let's talk about what they've added, because that'll be quick. The screen, have they confirmed the resolution on it?
It's still 720p.
Yeah.
Okay, it's still 720p.
I get.
That's
it's a small
fine
screen. Though. Yeah, like we've had that discussion.
It's a small screen.
Yeah.
Right. So they've added an Ethernet port into
back on the screen. I mean, it is bigger. Like current one 6.2. Okay. Yeah. This is 7. It's OLED.
Yeah, it's a bigger screen.
Smaller bezels. It'll look nicer.
The Ethernet port, they've added that onto the dock, have they?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to steal jokes from Filthy Casuals, which is a podcast that you should definitely listen to. But when they turned around and said, "What was it? So the fucking laptops in 1998." You know what I mean? It's so true. It's like, not only that, it is the least online capable console of the three of them. Like, who's using that?
I mean,
port?
It's literally just for Smash and ARMS players, right?
Yeah, and it doesn't even matter anyway, because you can use like a USB one anyway. That's what I do. Like my one's wired, but you just plug in a USB adapter.
I mean, I'm guessing that they're looking at this thing and saying, we need to give, like, for people that play this in the dock, there's literally nothing new. There's literally no reason for you to get one if you use the dock.
That dock now has curved edges, and if you buy the white one, it's got a white dock.
And it looks nice.
No reason.
It looks a lot nicer, the new dock, I think. It looks great.
Okay. So they're two of the things, right? The kickstand, anything will be an improvement to the current one. So I'm not going to fall into the camp of the people going, well, I'll never use that shit. I mean, get that.
Worth pointing out,
a lot of people won't use it.
Worth pointing out, though, the charging port still being on the bottom is a design flaw in conjunction with the kickstand, isn't it?
Well, that's why they released that other stand. You know, there's that like charging stand you can buy.
Yeah.
Which does basically the same thing, but you can charge the Switch at the same time as well. Which is handy.
To be fair, I assume that would be less of a problem now because I assume that there's been a massive bump to the battery life on that thing, James.
You'd be wrong about that. It's exactly the same. Yeah, exactly the same.
Amazing.
Yeah. Okay, and finally,
now,
what else?
hang on, though. Aren't OLED screens more energy efficient?
No, but like Nintendo have come out and said,
it doesn't make any difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
The one thing about the stand, again, I am definitely one of those people who doesn't use a stand, but what I've heard is that almost everyone has snapped off. This is the full width of the console. Hopefully this one won't be snapping off after 2 minutes.
Yeah, so if that snaps off, you've lost half your fucking console. What are the other changes they've made?
They've doubled the internal storage from 32 to 64.
Okay, well, if you haven't got an SD card that's more than 64 gigabytes in your Switch anyway, then what are you doing? Like, what was that?
It's
like
£3. It's certainly an improvement, but it's still not enough, is it?
No.
I've got a 64 gig SD card in mine, and the internal storage is like I'm constantly juggling stuff at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm 100 and is it 128?
Yeah, I got 128 one.
Yeah, and it's it's full up. I have to. We have got like 70 profiles on it where Harry just makes a new one every fucking day. But
I have never bought an SD card for my Switch.
Whoa.
I just never play it, Matt.
Do just constantly delete and reinstall stuff.
Well, you can do the archive stuff, can't you? That's what I do. Like, you don't have to have it.
So you say you hate doing that. You bought a 4 terabyte one for your Xbox.
Yeah, I know. I just
you were going to spend £140 on 1 terabytes of storage for your Series X.
Well, no, 220 retail. Yeah, and I
220.
I kind of for the Switch, but they download so quickly on Switch. It doesn't feel the same as downloading 100 gig game and then like 60 gig patch update. Everything seems to happen so quick on Switch.
Your answer there was Switch. I listen. Yeah, but you can spend like between £5 and £10 to get a really lot of capacity on a little SD card.
Oh, I'll do that because I'm like, well, I don't know. I guess I could.
You understand why I find that baffling, right?
Yeah, I've seen loads like on every time there's like every day on Amazon there's like these are half price. I guess I could do, but I'm I play indie games on Switch primarily or Nintendo games that I buy on cartridge, and so
I'm happy
I've got
to
220.
So the ones I've got on my device that never leave are Mario Kart, Stardew Valley. There is maybe another one or two, and the rest is like I'd switch and move around and stuff.
£220 on 1 terabyte for your Xbox Series X, though.
I mean, but I didn't actually buy it, so.
Okay.
So there's not really an argument here.
There's not. You're right. I don't know, man. I suppose when they announced this, I was genuinely shocked by how little was going into this thing. But should I be? It is Nintendo, and we say this way too much.
But this follows Nintendo. This follows what they've done before, like obviously, as everyone keeps saying. But I think it's also the fact that we were primed, for several, I'd say months, from lots of media outlets saying, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, what I'm hearing, and all that kind of stuff. And turns out, they were not quite accurate. It must be over a year now.
So there's a theory going around. What do you think? There's a theory going around that originally this year there was supposed to be a spec bump Switch coming out. But they decided, due to the chip shortages and the problems of manufacturing over the past year, they decided to really scale down what they were doing with this thing. Do you believe that or not?
I mean, I think that makes sense.
It's
from a business
totally
point of view.
plausible, yeah.
I mean, do they want to have the whole thing again where like they hardly get any out? It'd be like PS5 where it's impossible to get. Like, it does make sense for almost every reason possibly to delay it. They'll, more value, cheaper chips by the time they do that update in a year's time, more readily available chips. Financially, people around the world might be a little bit better off as well. it does make sense to delay it, especially when they don't need to, because the Switch is still selling so incredibly well. Mm-hmm. This model will fly off the shelves for people who haven't got one, and even people think, oh, fuck it, my current kickstand is broken, maybe I will upgrade.
Going to delay.
This is easily enough, and then they know they'll have another massive bump next year if and when a Pro model comes out.
No, that's it. The argument is not that they're going to delay that spec bump one. It's more that there's not going to be a spec bump one, and the next one is going to be the next gen Nintendo
Which
console.
is what I think is going to happen, because there's no way that they're going to release a spec bump version of this now, people were saying things like, oh, it will come out with Zelda next year, like in March or whatever. It's impossible. Like, there's no way they'd release something like this and then a couple of months down the line say, oh, we've got a better one now. They're not going to do that. It'd be crazy to do that.
That's a crazy decision to make as well.
Some people say that there wasn't like a DS update 6 months after a previous one.
Yeah, but the DS updates were quite minor though that they made. They weren't like fully like this is a significant upgrade on the first and last machine.
Yeah, even when they released that new 3DS,
I was going to say
it wasn't that much of a spec bump, was it?
Yeah, people forget how weird the new 3DS was. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, there's going to be some games that will only run on the new one, and it was like, what, 3 games?
Yeah, it was very few.
Which is odd. Nothing would surprise me with Nintendo. It would not surprise me if they released this one and then a slight bump and then a proper Switch Pro in another 3 or 4 years.
See, I think
the biggest surprise.
I think in several years, I think they'll probably do it, because I think they're probably working on whatever the follow-up is to the Switch, and that's what's going to be next. Yeah. But I don't think that they're going to, because I don't think they care about all this stuff like 4K and all that kind of thing that all we care about. What is a bit upsetting with this is that you're starting to see, like more recently, games that are coming out on the Switch not performing, performance-wise not performing as well as they probably, would have done before, because it does feel like the hardware is getting a bit, sort of long in the tooth now.
Yeah, we were saying this over E3 as well, weren't we? That there was a lot of even indie stuff that appears to not be like it's coming to next-gen consoles, and that's it, and the Switch isn't getting a look in anymore. And I think it's partly to do with the spec. It's partly to do with the discoverability on the eShop being a fucking nightmare now, as we talked about last week. I think it's a couple of years back. Obviously, the spec was already behind, but I think it's something devs would have gone out of their way to cater for, because it was such a a good place to play indie stuff. Whereas I feel like that discoverability issue has really hampered it by this point.
The worry there though is that the gap between the generations in terms of power, and you're right, Nintendo don't care about that, but the gap is getting bigger, right? So when the Wii U come out, that was less powerful than the 360.
Yeah.
But, there was quite a big gap there, but it wasn't like it is with the Switch and the fucking PS5 at the moment, is it?
No.
Like, this is a different world.
And that was
when you're looking at third-party development, I mean, that's mad.
That's why it's so massive, the whole Wii 60 era, because you could put a Wii version of a 360 game out, and have slightly reduced, graphical this and that, but it wasn't a massive difference. Now you couldn't say, we can probably do a port from the PS5 to Switch without a massive total rewrite.
They have put Wolfenstein on there and Witcher on there, but then
and they've started to do those 360 games. They've started to do those cloud versions as well that they're releasing as a way round this.
But I bet they don't like that.
Probably not. I mean, the thing is, though, this is in a different case to like the Wii U or whatever anyway, because they've sold 85 million Switches now, so they're probably not too bothered about things changing. So,
I mean, the biggest surprise for me out of this was when, at the end of the video, when they showed all 3 Switch versions, so the OLED version, the original version, and the Lite. And I thought, so they're still going to be selling the original one then. I just assumed that this was going to replace the original one. And then I was even more shocked, because I just assumed, okay, they're giving a price drop to the original one. This will come out at the same price as what the last one was. And then, the Switch Lite will stay the same. But no, they've added, that's mad.
But again, they've sold 85 million, so they can do this. It's selling crazy, constantly.
I'm aware of that, but I don't know. I'm standing. Well,
it's certainly unusual, but then these are unusual times, aren't they? Like as James says, it's still selling, so why reduce the price for that reason? But also, cost of materials is going up.
Yeah, it's a lovely
Nintendo really like money.
It's not like, why would they? I don't really give a shit, right? All I'll say is that as a consumer, you have certain expectations.
Yeah.
And for them to just go, well, here's a new one, we're not dropping the price. Like, it's been that price since day one, hasn't it? They haven't done a price drop on it at all.
No.
Now we're how many years into it? 4 years, 5 years into the Switch? And they're releasing this new one, but it's more expensive. Oh, I don't know, man.
It's perfect for them.
They don't see this, do they, as being like Xbox or PlayStation, in that it's 5 years.
Not, no.
It's been 5 years, but I think they probably see this as being like a 10-year deal, don't they, really, the Switch?
Yeah, for sure. But like they can't just shrug off like that consumer expectation, can they?
I think they can if they've sold so many and people are still buying them.
They know someone will go into a shop or online, probably more common, and say, okay, I can get that one or this one for 30 quid more. That's a 30 quid upsell on so many of the consoles that people wouldn't ordinarily spend. They're like, I might as well spend another 30 quid. They send,
spend 30 quid, and then the guy that runs the shop goes, do you want an Ethernet cable with that? Oh, yes, I do want an Ethernet cable with that, please, thank you.
So 30 quid upsell on such a massive majority of Switches, probably.
Gold connections.
The thing I found really funny was
those gold connection HDMIs. You know that, right? That definitely happened, didn't it, Matt?
I mean, you were stupid not to. You'd be absolutely mad not to. What I found really funny, I saw, I think I was in a meeting or something, I saw the messages pop through about this Switch, and the WhatsApp group was on fire. And then, but I hadn't seen the video yet. And I watched it. I was like, it's like a 2.5, I don't know how long, it's like a fairly long trailer. I'm like, wow, all this for four features. They're really padding out when one of them is just, you can change the height and adjustable stand or the Ethernet port. It's like, this whole thing could have been 15 seconds and it's 3 minutes and you're talking about these.
But you could also totally see, as I think you said this in the group, Matt, like why they didn't show this at E3 as part of the presentation.
Oh God,
pieces.
I said that, James, but thanks. No, it is.
Sounds like sort of shit,
the people would have gone ballistic. E3, like that would have been a Halo Infinite moment.
We should have done this as a lie. It sounds like a lie.
Yeah, it's true.
This is what interests me, is that like obviously people are upset, and I find the discussion around whether or not that's reasonable is interesting, because on the one hand, like, it's computer games, calm down. But also there was a lot of fairly consistent, nods and winks with regards to this being a proper new thing. And obviously that's all turned out to be nonsense. And we could have seen that coming. But I can't blame people for getting their hopes up or having some sort of expectation as to what this was going to be.
No. And I think, there is that sort of roll your eyes thing with, you've listened to rumours and made them true in your head, and now you're angry that the things you made in your head are not true, right? I get that. But I'm with you. I am also... I do understand that people had expectations and they were not met.
Well, especially when we've looked at all those news stories, haven't we, where they've said things like, report, this is what's going on, like this is coming out, and it's like... Yeah,
but Nintendo can't comment on them.
No, of course they can't.
You know that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's just the fact that, like as we've been saying, that there are good reasons for them to do a spec bump, because it does feel like the Switch is now falling behind a little bit. It's not just like, I want a new one because it will be better, and I haven't really got any rationale for it beyond that. It's like, no, there are games I want to play on the Switch, and they now run like noticeably worse than they would on other consoles, and that's, for me, that's becoming a problem for certain games.
Yeah.
So that is a concrete reason to think that it could be a good time for a spec bump.
Yes, you don't need to. I think Sony and Microsoft have both shown that actually you don't need a next generation. You don't need to release a bumped up Switch and say, hey, these games don't run on the older Switch. You don't need to do that. People are appreciating the fact now that these new consoles have come out and gone, those old games, they run better now. They load faster and they run smoother. like that's enough for a spec bump for the Switch for me.
See, that's the thing, because I don't even care about the 4K stuff. Like, that doesn't bother me. I just would like the performance to be better, so that it can play.
You imagine playing Bowser's Fury again, but with the solid frame rate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You say that, James. I mean, when everyone's playing Hades, and you think, "Wow, I really want to play Hades on like a next-gen console," it would have been nice to play it with like improved visuals and whatnot on the Switch. And now, when it's like, okay, it's indies out everywhere, and like, yes, the Switch is easy to play, handheld, etc. But now there is going to be a considerable kind of performance.
Yeah, but how often do we say that? I mean, I think we've said that once, literally about Hades. It'd be nice to play this in 4K. But it feels like it's getting more common where, like, games aren't running as well as they used to on the Switch, and now there's more of a conversation about where do I get it rather than I'll just get it on Switch because that's where I play all my indies. No, that's what we're saying. Like, that's exactly what we're saying. The spec bump there shouldn't be about we want a new generation feel of games that could possibly run games that the current Switch can't. What we're saying is, like, for example, a great example that came out recently is Bowser's Fury running silky smooth with no hiccups. Like, even Mario Odyssey, you go into certain levels there and it struggles a bit. And playing that without any of the frame dropping, that's a cool option to have. It's a shame, but you're right. From a business perspective, you can see why they haven't done this, right? I mean, I was laughing at how feeble the upgrades were, and then when I heard the battery life was practically the same, that made me laugh a lot. And also, my favourite thing about the whole we got to talk about it, James, the little conversation we had in the WhatsApp group, because I just highlighted, and I was being a dick, I'm fully aware of that, but I just turned around, you went, "There's literally no reason to buy one of these," and I said, "You'll get one." You went, "No, I won't, Dave, I don't think I will." I said, "Why are you lying? You will buy one of these." And for the first time ever since I've known you, you completely backed down.
I know, because I just thought, well...
I'm getting one. Why am I lying to myself anymore? I'm getting one.
You probably are right. I mean, that probably will happen. I mean, I hope it won't, because I look at this and I just think there is no point in buying this, like, at all. But I haven't got a pre-order though, so that's not going on yet.
You will absolutely have one of these by the end of the year, I think.
Only if my other Switch breaks. That's the only reason I think I'll get one.
No, you will buy one. You will buy one, James. I know it. I remember you weren't going to get the Switch. You still had 4 pre-orders, but you weren't going to get the Switch.
Yeah, I know.
And then you, if I remember correctly, you bought the new 3DS. And didn't tell me about it because you were so embarrassed about buying it.
Yes, that did happen.
It took you 2 months, and then you just went, "Okay, I've got to admit something stupid. I bought a new 3DS." And I was like, "Well, of course you did. Of course you did."
And
You're going to get one of these.
In the I meant to post in the group. Hard Drive News did a thing like last week. It was like supposedly a guest column by Nintendo, and the title was "You're going to buy it anyway, aren't you, you greedy little piggy?"
James, just hold your hands up and say you're going to do it, because we know you're going to do it.
I'm not, though. I'm not. It's not going to happen.
You're backing down. You're backing down. In the week when we were talking about this in the WhatsApp group, you were like, "Yeah, no, of course I am. Of course I am."
No, but that's the thing.
It could happen. Chen was saying exactly the same thing to you.
It could happen at the last minute. Like, it's totally possible that it could happen at the last minute, but it's not going to happen now.
Last minute. What will happen is he'll say no, and then it'll be, "I've got a speculative pre-order just in case they turn out to be scarce."
Yeah.
And then it'll be, "Oh, I've just found out how much I can get for my current Switch," so that takes the sting out of it.
All right, look, I'm pre-ordering it now. Okay, you happy?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm happy because it makes you happy that you play these consoles. The weird thing is, I'm not angry at you buying them. The weird thing is how you are adamant that you're not, but you always do. Like, that's the weird bit. That's totally. Well, I am going to be using it a lot. I'm going to be travelling a bit, so
it's true. Actually,
the bigger screen, will be better for that.
It does look really nice
the stuff
as well.
That will come out.
Where can I pre-order from? Do you think? It's
Argos, apparently. Amazon, the listing's there, but you can't pre-order yet.
Okay.
Don't know where else.
To be fair, like if Isaac was like 3 years older, and was maybe at a point where I could trust him with my current Switch, I'd consider this. But I mean, he's nowhere close. Like I let him have my 3DS for a bit, and the screen's fucked on it. So no chance.
Is that gunk all over it, like crispy gunk?
No, he's managed to like scratch up like the top screen. I don't even know how he's done it. I think he's just been like kicking it around on the floor. Impressive.
Yeah. I don't even know how you've done that.
Yeah.
So James, is this, in your opinion, the worst name of a Nintendo console ever? It's just got to be up there.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I think it's worse than. Actually, no, I don't think it's worse than New Nintendo, because that's worse. I think because it just sets weird expectations. This is just odd.
Why didn't they call it the Switch XL?
It's not really that.
It's not bigger.
Bigger though, yeah.
No, but the screen size is bigger. Fuck it, why not? That makes more sense to me.
Just the Switch L. It's not XL. It's just.
No, but that makes more sense to me. Switch XL. All right, it's not like massive, but the screen's a lot bigger, so good. You know, the Switch. What are they calling it? OLED edition or OLED model?
Switch. No, it's
Nintendo
Switch OLED model.
Yeah,
I mean, that's terrible.
It is terrible.
Hey, can I have a Switch, please? Which one do you want? The OLED model,
the OLED
please.
Model. I mean, if they just called it like Switch Plus or something, it's just like, look, it's just a bit better.
Looking at these pictures, it does look nicer. It looks nicer than the current model.
I'm fully expecting to, like, the first time I actually see one in real life, be like, oh, actually, it's pretty nice.
That looks nice. Yeah.
But that's it.
What if they just called it the Switch middle finger? Go fuck yourself. They might as well have just called it that. The Switch Ethernet cable version. That would have been the best. I love the Switch Ethernet edition.
The white one looks lovely, but then your current white one looks great, Sean, because you changed the case.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to experience the joy of having a white Joy-Cons but without the migraine of changing the casing on them yourself, it's a good shout.
Yeah, £30 for that.
Yep.
To be fair, how much did you pay for those casings?
They're about, I don't know, like 18 quid or something.
So
but then
nearly
I
there
say
anyway.
The true cost was the damage to my brain after doing it. So
I'm looking forward to the YouTube videos of people trying to mod these things to include, like, they'll buy an OLED screen.
Oh yeah, try and mod it to an existing Switch.
Yeah, I watched one the other day where it was like someone bought a PS5 digital edition and then bought a disk drive and tried to mod it onto the board, but did not work, baby.
What it'll be like, no, here's how to make your own OLED Nintendo Switch console. You need a Raspberry Pi, you need this screen, you need this, and about 30 hours of free time.
What would you do? You would just, the easy way of doing it, right, is get a little OLED screen, plug it into the HDMI port at the back of the dock, and then slide it in, slide the Switch into the dock, and just have it like that. That'd be great.
Yeah, sorted.
Why are we not doing that?
Don't need to spend the money.
Okay.
It's fine.
One thing we haven't discussed, actually, is that this thing is a millimetre large. I'm not sure it's taller or wider. And that means you can't...
some Labo stuff in it.
Some Labo stuff. So, James, you have to do a Labo before you get a new upgrade.
Yes,
that's a good point.
That's a deal breaker, that is.
No, you know what we'll do? We'll just keep the old one around for Labo. Like, that's what'll happen.
That's my Labo.
I can't have another Switch in the house. I've already got 4 of the things. It'd be ridiculous.
You can transfer your island, can't you?
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, that's no problem.
Right, okay, yeah. So he's getting one. That will be the one thing that's stopping him from getting one, but he can transfer his island. Okay, let's get on to the next news story.
Okay, so the next thing is that we had a PlayStation State of Play last week, which we watched.
We certainly did.
And it was alright.
Huge news announced at this thing that James Farley streams in his underwear. That was...
come on.
That was a revelation. News. That was great.
It was hot.
It was great. He's sitting there. You couldn't see it on the stream if you were watching it, but we've got like a wider angle on Discord or whatever, and I just saw what looked like a dog next to him, and I thought, he hasn't got a dog. What is that? And then I threw up in my mouth a bit and had to swallow it. And just, but James, is that your leg? Is that your leg? And you were like, oh, I didn't think you could see that. I said, are you wearing shorts? We all know that you hate wearing shorts. And you went, no. And then Matt just went, are you in your pants, James? Yes, I'm in my pants. What's the matter with that? What's the matter?
What's the big deal? What's the big deal? It's fine.
I just didn't imagine out of all of, because we know that Matt has done it in his pants a few times.
I'm doing it right now in my pants.
I did not expect you to join that club. What club is that? What would we call it? It's not Going Commando, is it?
No, fortunately not that, no.
We'll have to come up with a name for that. Maybe our listeners can get involved. But what would you call streaming in your pants? Maybe we just call it the James Farley now. I'm going full Farley.
Breaking terms of service, isn't it? Was the thing. Yeah.
But no, the state of play, I was actually surprised because there were a few warnings going into this, wasn't there? A few announcements saying, look, this is Deathloop focused. There'll be a long look at Deathloop or whatever, and it was only 30 minutes, so I was expecting like 20 minutes of Deathloop and then 10 minutes of like maybe 2 or 3 other games, but there was quite a lot announced, wasn't there, James?
Yeah, so they started with Moss Book 2, which is like a PSVR game, and Matt and I, we both enjoyed that, didn't we? That was a good game. So
yeah, Moss was excellent, and when we finished the first one, we said, I hope there's a sequel, and very interested to see what that's like when that comes out.
I need to get on that.
Isn't it on Oculus as well? I think
it is on Quest, yeah.
But I got it.
Forget that. You didn't complete Astrobot. What are you doing?
No, I know.
Oh. That is like really good.
No, I know.
Like that final boss is so good.
That's
the one that you need to
get
on.
I'll sort that out.
I'm so addicted to games.
That's on the PS4 bucket list. It is.
Yeah. Go on then.
Then we had Arcadegeddon, which is a PS5 and PC multiplayer shooter, which is actually out right now.
Is it really? Is it early access at the moment?
It's early access out right now. And,
okay.
So
I might have to try that because it looks alright.
Well, this was interesting because I've not seen like Sony or PlayStation acknowledging early access as a concept before.
Yeah, and we mentioned that on the live stream. That was a weird one. Yeah. It was. Thanks for watching. It was a weird thing for Sony to do. They don't usually go for the early access stuff, but they did for this. So maybe they're changing their mind with things. Hopefully. Because, you think about it, it's stupid. If you're the only platform that doesn't do it,
yeah, exactly,
then surely you'll notice that, people are going to jump onto these early access games and then they're going to stick on that platform with that game. It makes total sense to make sure that you can have that same option for your platform. But, my word, yeah. This game looked exactly like Knockout City. But I've got to say, the action on it looked pretty good. The stuff you were doing, it looked like there was various different game modes, like mini games and all that sort of stuff. So it might be worth looking at. It's just that art style, isn't it? That James was instantly turned off.
Yeah,
just before anyone messages us, there has been other early access games. Temtem was early access back in December.
Okay,
I'm sure
was that on PlayStation?
It hasn't been a thing whereby on Xbox it's Xbox Preview, I believe is what they would call it, and obviously PC, and we know all about that. So it's
but
just
there was that
Sony
period. The reason why we're talking about that, there was that period where Sony literally come out and said we don't see that as something we want on our platform.
Yeah.
Like they actually actively come out against it. So I'm glad they've sort of changed their mind on that because it makes so much sense at the moment. Some games get a full release and they're more like early access, eh? Aren't they? I'm looking at you, Cyberpunk.
You do wonder if not that Cyberpunk was ever going to be released as an early access game, but you do wonder if that maybe was something that sort of twisted Sony's arm. But then if Temtem was out before that, wasn't it? That was like December, the PlayStation version, I think. So maybe not.
December, yeah.
Right.
Maybe they just looked at some of the other games that have come out on it and thought, the quality control isn't a thing. It would have been
a bit worrying if CD Projekt Red said we're releasing on Xbox, PC, and on PlayStation Early Access. Okay, sure, if you want. Okay.
Then we had Tribes of Midgard. Oh, no, we didn't. No, we had Hunter's Arena before that, which is another Battle Royale game already out on Steam. Yeah. Then we had Tribes of Midgard.
Sorry. Tribes. Has this got anything to do with tribes?
No, it doesn't. No.
Tribes.
It's got a new rune system, though.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we just need to explain the tribe? Because if you've not heard it, that was a very bad, weird bit of radio, wasn't it?
people have heard. I mean, it's quite well known now, isn't it? Because giant bombs sort of leave. But yeah, there was a game called Tribes 2 that come out, and they got the Motley Crue to do a soundtrack. God knows how much they paid them to do that. Yeah. God knows that. I just imagine all you got to do is search Motley Crue Tribes on YouTube, and you'll find the song. And I can just imagine them going, "We got it! They've sent it over. We've got the music," and then playing it, and them just looking at each other, going, "They've taken the fucking piss." Literally just the word tribes over and over again. It's an incredible piece of audio.
Then we had an update on Sifu, which is coming now early 2022, so it's been delayed,
this
it seems.
This is the biggest fuck you of announcement for a delay of all time, right?
It was weird, wasn't it?
Yeah, because it was like, it made this whole thing, it was sort of... Did we know this beforehand, that every time you die you got older?
I didn't know this is new. No, this is new, yeah.
That's like the cool little hook that they've gone. If you die in the game... you get older, and reading the stuff about it later, it was saying, look, you don't live forever, and you will get old every time you die. So eventually your character will die, like out of old age or whatever, and then that's the end of the game. You got to start again from the beginning, and that sounds cool, man. Like it does sound cool. It's nice. It's a neat idea, but the way it did it was it showed the character dying, and then the age would tick up. And then you'd see the older character, and then they'd die, and then that age would tick up again. And then right at the end, it said, Sofu, 2021. And then it went up to 2022. And it was like, Jesus, I like that. I actually like that.
Just
that was
kind of snuck it in as part of the, okay. Respect you for that.
Yeah.
You've announced it today.
As you said when we were watching it, Dave, it's like this could either be really good or awful, like depending on what the combat's
really
like.
Has the potential to be terrible. But I must admit, they seem to be doing everything right. It looks nice enough. So I'm hopeful for it. But I've got that in the back of my mind going, but it is like a beat 'em up thing. So watch it. Watch it, Dave. Just ain't back there, son.
Then we had Jet the Far Shore. So they showed this again. This is the space adventure from Super Brothers. And,
it's looked good, doesn't it?
I think it's really nice.
I'm still really keen on it, but I still don't really like the way it looks, like the planets and stuff.
What don't you like about
it? The really sort of zoomed out view of the ship when it's flying around. I feel like that's going to annoy me. And just I don't know, just like the visual, like the seas especially on the planets just looked just a bit rubbish.
Yeah, so the idea is, it feels like it looks sort of... It reminded me, it's not, right? Okay, we don't know anything about how it controls, but it looks a little bit like a twin-stick shooter, but set in this really, really open space, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And, you're controlling a spaceship, like, skimming across the surface of various different planets. The developers were sort of pushing it as a relaxing game.
Yeah.
It has combat in it, but you're not taking part in the combat. You're trying to avoid combat. That seems to be the route that it's going, that you just, there are going to be areas that you can't get to because there's people out to shoot your
they did
spaceship
that
down
whole... I mean, maybe this is me being weird and reading it the wrong way, but, when they were like, oh, you don't have to fight things or gather resources to travel around, and I was like... Are we still doing like fuck you No Man's Sky when it?
That was definitely 100%.
It was like, when like Outer Wilds came out and all the trailers were like a handcrafted universe for you to explore.
Yeah. No, that was definitely a dig at No Man's Sky for sure. But I don't know, man. I thought it looked alright. It's got potential. It's one to keep your eye on.
It's because I mean. Super Brothers obviously did Sword and Sorcery, which, I mean, it hasn't aged amazingly now, but at the time it was like we hadn't played anything else like it. It was just so atmospheric and just unusual.
It also had one of the best soundtracks ever. That was such a good 100%. Soundtrack on that.
So, I'm, as I say, like, although I'm sort of turning my nose up a bit at some of the visuals, I like, from what I've read about the way it delivers the atmosphere and stuff, I'm really keen. So, and I can play it on my shitty PS4, so it's all right, isn't it?
It is all right, isn't it?
Yeah. Then we had Fist. Yeah.
Okay. Did we?
Yeah.
In terms of service.
Speak for yourself, mate.
So, Forged in Shadow Torch is the name, but Fist.
Which one was this? I don't remember this.
It was like a fighter, wasn't it? It was like animals fighting and stuff.
I don't remember.
God, I
you
don't
don't mean animals fighting.
That's really bad, isn't it?
Yeah.
You said it looked good, Dave.
Yeah, it was like a. Was it like a rabbit in a little mech suit with an extra arm on the back or something?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
Yeah, that looked really good.
Like a side-scrolling beat 'em up.
Yeah, hey, we turned that one around, didn't we?
It looked great. I love the art style. Yeah, I like the art style.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we had the Demon Slayer, which is a Sega. It comes from Sega. I don't remember anything about this at all. Like nothing.
This was the incredibly anime one, wasn't it? I think.
Was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we can just move on.
Yeah, it's the one where we're like saying we had a whole conversation about why would you have the dubbed version on blah blah blah.
Oh yeah.
No, that was because it was doing that thing.
Oh, no, it was that one.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it was doing that thing where every character was like talking like this. And it's like, oh mate, that's why I don't like watching that stuff because it just gets in your brain and it hurts. Yeah. Okay.
Then we had another trailer for Lost Judgment. Which is coming, but then again, that was with English voice acting, and just I can't do that. It was not very nice to watch.
This looked great, I thought.
Yeah, can't wait. It's September, I think it's coming.
Yeah. It's out later this year. I mean, I started that first one just to prove a point during some Game of the Year a couple of years ago. But I watched this and I'm like, this is a whole new series. It is real time, unlike the turn-based ones. The other Yakuza games, maybe I do go back and play.
Well, there's only one turn-based Yakuza game. The rest are all.
But they're all going to do that now.
I know what Matt's saying. Like the big thing is that you don't have to commit to about 700 games.
Yeah.
So the idea of trying one of these is way more tempting.
Yeah, this is a really good place to start. Like Judgment is. If you've never played any, I still think it's probably one of the best places to start.
Yeah, I think I've got that on.
Maybe I'll do that.
PS4, maybe. But yeah, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Isn't it on Game Pass?
Yeah. No, this one isn't.
It's not. No, it's
sadly not. I think it's the only one that isn't.
There have been hints apparently that it's coming to Game Pass, but I don't know if it'll be the X and S enhanced version when it does. If that is important to you,
you'd be mad. But you'd be mad if they don't do that though.
Well, yeah, you think so?
Yeah,
Lost Judgment is also coming to Xbox, and is it PC as well? No,
I think so. No. Yeah, I think. Okay. No, I thought it was PC, Xbox, and PS5.
Yeah. PS4 maybe. And Stadia.
Sean.
Yep. Hello.
Sean, watch this. Yep. Right. If it comes to Game Pass, then James, I will definitely play it.
Ooh.
I will play that game.
Okay. I look forward to you hating it and talking about how you don't like it.
That was what I was waiting for. I just wanted to see because I know that it'd hate the idea of me playing it.
Because I know that you're going to hate it. So it's like, don't know why you're wasting your time.
It might be. I might like it.
Anyway, next
you
game.
might, but James would rather you didn't take the risk, Dave. That's the...
I just don't want to hear about it. I just can't be bothered. Anyway, then they had Death Stranding's PS5 Director's Cut. Showed a bit of that.
Yeah, what I found funny about this...
If there's one thing that game needed was more content, wasn't it? Fuck it, hell.
What I found about it today... It's that Kojima's not happy about the term director's cut because he says implies the original one was edited and it wasn't, he said.
Okay, that's interesting because so last night I was on Level Clear podcast, go and check it out, and we had a big discussion about this and we were saying, the whole, the term director's cut is just a bit disingenuous when applied to games because as you say, it implies that the studio sort of made the director make changes they weren't happy with. Whereas Kojima, as far as we know, had complete control over Death Stranding.
I'm not sure that's the implication, is it? I think people know well enough that it doesn't necessarily mean that the studio stepped in. I've never thought of a director's cut, in terms of film like that.
In films, that's what it's always meant in films. But
I've never really thought of it like that, I guess.
I just thought when I hear it, I just think extra content. That's what you just think.
Yeah, when I hear it, I kind of think, this is the stuff that wasn't good enough to put in the film originally. Why am I getting excited about that?
It's like when DVDs started coming with extra scenes. You're like, oh my god, more of the film. How could that be bad? And then you just watch the extra scenes and go, these were all cut for good reasons.
I don't know, man. I wasn't interested. I've not played the game, so I need to shut the fuck up. But I wasn't interested in it when it first came out, and that opinion has not changed.
Yeah, the trailer looked good. I enjoyed it in the end. This obviously has a lot of extra combat additions. Now, the combat was probably the bit I enjoyed the least. It does say there is extra story missions, which is more intriguing. And it's got I think melee now and some other new weapons, new armor, and gadgets and stuff. But the story missions are the things that intrigues me most. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm not going to rush out as much as I loved the original. I'm definitely rushing out to buy a director's cut version of it.
If you've still got the disc for £10, you can upgrade to this one.
Yeah.
That's the
yeah. Actually, I saw that and I'm like, no, because I sold it because I play games and sell them. I think. I maybe I got digital, I don't know. Anyway, but I'm like, okay, is this whole generation just going to be me having to rebuy games I sold on PS4? Like, I did it with Final Fantasy to get a free upgrade.
Welcome to Club Nintendo.
yeah. Maybe if I do, I don't know if I bought it. I think I bought this for myself on disc. So yeah, I'd probably have to do the same if I wanted the upgrade.
Well, I don't think it really matters, does it? I don't think we need to go into it, do we?
No, because I'm going to have to bloody rebuy again if I want this upgrade.
Okay. All right. Go on.
Finally, we got Deathloop. They showed part of a mission, wasn't it? They showed from that. I think.
Yeah. I said on the stream, I understand why they've done this gameplay demo. I think it looks really good. I think Deathloop is looking really exciting. I hate watching them though. When they do a full mission, and the reason being is that when I'm playing a game and I've seen that, there's part of my brain going, I wonder if this is the bit. This is going to be the bit, isn't it? From that gameplay, this is going to be that mission that I saw. This is. Oh, I'm in the mission. Now. I'll try and do it as I remembered the person doing it in the thing. It was just it plays on my mind too much when I play the final game. So I don't always like watching these things, but we had no choice. Looks good. Looks really good.
Does.
James, I'm interested in to hear what you think about the tone of it.
I thought it looked all right. I mean, I'm not very excited for this.
No, the tone.
What do you mean?
The bit that got me was when one of the characters who was talking to you on a radio, as they do in so many games, they went like that, right? And I just thought, James, I'll hate that. You'll hate that.
Do you know, I hadn't
looked
even
over your
noticed.
face and you were grimacing.
Really? I hadn't noticed.
Yeah. Yeah, go back and watch it. It's well funny. You just look like, oh, fuck this.
Well, I mean, as I said, I'm probably not going to get it because also the next piece of news that I had here was that we know now when it's going to come out on Xbox, pretty much. As in, it will come out on Xbox after the 14th of September 2022 because that's how long Sony have got the exclusivity for it.
Mm-hmm. And you're willing to wait a year to play it?
Yeah, because I'm not really that fussed about it. I mean, if I hear...
Well, if it's a Game of the Year contender...
Well, that's the thing. If it turns out that it's absolutely amazing and everybody is really, really into it, then I'll probably get it. But otherwise, if it turns out it's like a 7 out of 10 or something like that, I can wait, till next year.
I'm surprised... Right, I know it sounds weird, and maybe I'm pathetic or whatever. I was surprised that they were allowed to put the emphasis on how much work they've put onto the DualSense for this. Because they are owned by Microsoft and, they ain't got that shit.
But again, maybe it's agreements that were in place prior to...
Yeah, but they still want to sell the game. Yeah. And Microsoft want to sell the game.
Don't get me wrong. I'm sure, they were going to be using the DualSense stuff, but it was I thought that was just a really interesting line in the middle of that trailer where it was we've really, gone to town with those triggers and shit. Do you know what I mean? I don't know,
it's funny,
I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be good.
I am looking forward to it. It was really strange watching this, and I've known what the premise is, since they first announced it. The whole thing, there's this other player character that can ruin your day, but for some reason, when they were doing this gameplay demo and they were going around doing loads of cool stuff and oh man, this looks great, and then it's aha, and then this noise means you've been invaded by the other player, and I was just like, oh, fuck off.
I'm almost certain that you can turn that off, especially when they emphasise that it could be AI controlled.
Yeah, which I think is going to... I'll certainly try it with, PvP switched on, because I think I do think it'll be an interesting experience. I just think there's going to come a point where I'm just going to be like, look, I want to finish this now, or I want to make some real progress. And then I'll just turn off other people and just play against it. I mean, maybe the AI is going to be really tough as well. I don't know. But yeah, hopefully you're going to be able to tweak that. Cause...
Could you imagine if, I wonder if I have some form of matchmaking in there. Yeah. Otherwise it'd just be... Yeah, I'd hate it if it was just people that are really good at the game coming in and killing me. But
because
could you imagine if this was on a Nintendo console and it would come up, you are being invaded, and then it would go to cut to a screen and it'd be like
2 minutes.
I can't see them being matchmaking. You don't get matchmaking when people raid you in Dark Souls.
No, I get that, but I think it would benefit a game like this if there was some sort of matchmaking involved.
Especially because, in Dark Souls, and obviously with Dark Souls being like a willfully cruel game, you get invaded and you die and you go back to the most recent bonfire. This, restart the fucking game. So
yeah, and it's also kind of like, it wouldn't be hard to do to work out how many people have killed and then how many people have been killed in their own game.
Yeah,
and say, oh well, this person has died a lot when he's invaded, and this one's been killed several times in a row now by a player control character. There's got to be... come on, devs. What were we talking about? How devs can listen to us and laugh at how bad we are at this stuff? Well, I think this might be one of those occasions, but, I don't know.
They probably got it all figured out. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I reckon they probably know
Arcane
what
are
they're
not
doing.
stupid. So, I think they've,
No, but as I said during the stream, I was excited about this game before. I'm excited now. I don't really need to see anything else about this. I didn't really need to see this. I knew I was going to buy it regardless. So, yeah, I'm excited. Still looks great, and I can't wait to see what it's like when it releases in September, which isn't that far away, really.
Month and a half.
Okay. Next story is that Ubisoft are doing Assassin's Creed as a live service in the future.
Okay.
Called Assassin's Creed Infinity, and it's going to be a collaborative project between Ubisoft Montreal and Ubisoft Quebec. Do you want to hear the quotes for this? I thought you might.
That wasn't convincing.
Rather than continuing to pass the baton from game to game, we profoundly believe this is an opportunity for one of Ubisoft's most beloved franchises to evolve in a more integrated and collaborative manner that's less centred on studios and more focused on talent and leadership, no matter where they are within Ubisoft. Then also... Because there's also, the whole thing with the allegations there's been recently, they addressed that as well, the criticism, where they said, we have full confidence in the entire Assassin's Creed team. Ubisoft takes each and every allegation seriously and conducted a series of investigations over the last year, led by an independent third parties, taking swift and appropriate actions based on their outcome, including warnings, removal of managerial responsibility or dismissal. While we won't go into any specific details about individuals, any employee that had allegations and remain at Ubisoft has had their case rigorously reviewed by a third party and were either exonerated or underwent appropriate disciplinary actions. Ubisoft is committed to creating an exemplary culture where everyone feels valued and respected. We do not and will not tolerate abuse, harassment or discrimination. We've made significant internal changes and updates to create a safe and more inclusive workspace, which were recently addressed by our CEO.
Okay, but there are still reports coming out that can contradict that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're not there. We don't know enough about it. We genuinely don't know enough about it. But let's not forget that there are reports that are saying the complete opposite to what this press release is saying.
And also, there was news stories of people leaving or not wanting to work there because of all of this as well.
Which is, of course.
Of course. Which is totally understandable.
No, I hope those people find a better place to work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Assassin's Creed live thing, so what? Is it that there's going to be a hub with various different time periods on and you pay for the time period?
Probably, it'll be something like that.
Fine. Okay.
I mean, who
cares?
I hate it, but I can see why. It does sort of make sense, doesn't it? Because that's... the Assassin's Creed story, from Black Flag onwards, isn't it? I know they sort of more or less dropped the modern world stuff, but they kind of, from Black Flag, wasn't it it's just Abstergo just mining all these genetic memories for video game content, which was just their excuse to be let's do whatever. now. Like, it doesn't really matter. So, yeah, the idea of creating a new game where it is just like, well, yeah, like, oh, great, we found another corpse with more memories in. Here you go. Here's like the new chapter in you know, in the.
Have they ever found a corpse with memories in? There's just a really boring person.
I mean, they must have to go through loads, mustn't they?
Yeah.
It's someone's job.
We found this
to
corpse,
like,
Brian.
Yeah.
Okay, load into Brian.
Brian Smith. What's he got?
No, he's from the 60s and he didn't really get out much.
He's masturbating and he's masturbating again.
Shit, man! What if that sounds like they found my corpse? Imagine that. Zooming into David Turner doing a podcast. Okay, James, let's go with the news. Okay, let's go. You have to do like a button press to announce each and every full nurse member.
Okay, should we move on to the last story?
Yeah. It's probably best.
He's not
when
amused.
the laughter abruptly dies that, then let's move on.
So, EA have announced changes to their upgrading system and everything for FIFA and Madden next year. So, what this was what was called the dual entitlement program, which is what they had last year, which is whereby if you bought, like, say, the Xbox One version of FIFA, you then got the Series S or Series X version for free. You know, it was like included as part of that. They've decided to change that now and made it so that you only get the upgraded version in that way if you buy the Ultimate Edition of FIFA, which costs $89.99, which is kind of mad, isn't it? It's
yeah. So to be clear, because the headline on this was a little bit misleading, wasn't it? It sort of implied that you only got the next gen version if you got the special edition. It's that you only get both versions if you get the special edition.
If you buy like the Series X version, you know, like straight off, then it's the regular price that it will 80 quid, 70 quid or whatever it is.
Yeah, I was going to say, the regular price is only £20 less.
Yeah.
But it's still wank because it's like, oh, here's how you pay extra money to get the free upgrade. What? Yeah. Like, it's just bizarre. Like, obviously, you get whatever other extra stuff is in the special.
You probably
edition,
get some Ultimate Team points or something like that, you know.
But this just feels like another, like, well, let's see if we can get away with this then. Like,
it's the online pass all over again.
Yeah. See, what's bad about this is that, I mean, I said in our chat, I said, you know, this would have been more of a problem last year, you know, when people were going from PS4 to PS5 or whatever, or, you know, Xbox One to...
Yeah, but people are going to be doing that next year.
Exactly, and that's the thing, because they're not...
doing that next year.
That's the problem, isn't it? Is because they're still not readily available, these machines, you know, and people are still trying to get them, so this still feels a bit crap, doesn't it?
But even if they were readily available, people are still upgrading from the previous to the next gen one.
What I will say, though, is if you're thinking about this and what you're going to do, I don't know what the next version of FIFA is going to be like, but based on FIFA 21, we were sitting there after downloading the next gen version going, he didn't used to put his hand on his hip, did he? That's new, and just struggling to see what has been upgraded. It's fuckle.
That's better hair, wasn't it? He had better hair.
Yeah, it was the hair. Yeah. What was it? John went, he just rolled his sleeves up.
Yeah. That's what I don't do it normally.
Yeah, so I'm not too sure. Oh God, I got to tell you this story. So, my parents come over the weekend. They haven't been over for a long time. And for starters, this was amazing. I'm sorry, this is football chat, but this was amazing. We were talking about the semi-final. This was obviously pre-final. And we were talking about the semi-final. My dad was moaning about how they got into the final. Oh, it's just boring, innit? All they do is they pass back and they pass to the side and they pass back. And Harry turned around. Harry's 7, turned around and went, yeah, what they're trying to do is pull the other team out so they can attack the space around the back.
Yeah.
And my dad sort of just like looked at him, and I looked over at Harry and just gave him a little spud. I was like, yes, mate. So anyway, my dad was like, well, the good thing about being retired now, boys, is that I can play FIFA a lot more. And I think we should have a game. I was like, all right, we'll play FIFA. I beat him 6-0, right? And every time I scored, Harry was wetting himself, right? He thought it was the funniest thing. So my dad lost it. And if you know my dad, you don't really, but like he would not let anyone win. Like, he doesn't care. Like, he was like that when I was a kid, right? He said, right, I'll play you then. I'll play you. So Harry sat down, beat him 4-1, right? And then he went, well, I'll rematch. I'll pick a better team. Harry beat him 5 times in a row. And honestly, I thought my dad was going to throw the pad at the TV. It was so good. It was like all those. I mean, I definitely need to talk to a professional about this, about my feelings towards my dad. But it just was the best moment. So that's sorry. What we talk about FIFA, yeah, it's upgrade it or whatever.
Yeah, so the FIFA thing is weird.
Piss on
obviously,
this game.
Yeah, so many games. Well, a lot of games now. It's not uncommon to pay some money to get the next gen upgrade. I guess this feels worse because, quite un-EA-like, they gave us the next-gen upgrade for free last year. So now this feels different and weird. If they said, last year, you can buy it on PS4, it's a tenner if you want the PS5 version, okay, I get it. But now they've kind of gone from one extreme to the other. But what is weird
the only thing I can think is because they weren't coming out at the same time. So they worried that people were going to hold off buying FIFA, where it's at its top value, where it's its most expensive. They were going to hold off buying it, waiting for the next gen version. And the next gen version didn't come until, 3 or 4 months after FIFA came out? Maybe 3 months?
Wasn't it December it came out, I think?
So September, October, November, December, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is coming out in October, which is... that always annoys me a bit, honestly. I mean, I know there's nothing they can do about it, but it's like... The way, like the new football season starts, then you've got to wait about 2 months before there's a new version.
You've got to play like you're going to be playing FIFA 21 going, just move Harry Kane to City. Just do that one change.
Yeah, do it now, please.
Yeah, but like, I'm just thinking that it's both coming out at the same time now. So they're not going to go, then they won't have that fear. So that's when they'll take the piss. I think that's the reasoning behind why they did that last year.
With games being 70 quid on... I'm not on the PlayStation Store now. Obviously, games, 70 quid. This whole FIFA 22 Ultimate Upgrade, Ultimate Edition with the, the upgrades and all the other stuff you get, it's only 20 quid more. Like, now 70 quid being the default, it's like, well, when you first said, it's 90 quid for the Ultimate Edition, I was like, wow, my God, that's so much more than the 40 quid. No, games aren't 40 quid, are they anymore? No, they're 70. In fact, fuck it, it's 20 quid more, I'll do it. I get 4 days early, I get the upgrade, I get extra stuff. Like, this is how they get us.
It is mad that you'll pay £70 to play our game where we are fully expecting to make more money than God in one of the game modes.
Yeah.
Like, it's mad. But there you go. That's EA. That's FIFA. Is that the end of the news, James?
It is the end of the news, yeah.
Okay, cool. So where are we going, James?
Well, okay. I have got some rumours for you.
Okay,
so we got this is Farley's Fantasy Zone,
where do we hear the rumours, James?
Your homework for last week was to create a jingle for your new feature, Farley's Fantasy Zone.
Yeah.
Okay, are we going to play it now?
I mean, I can, but you see, this is the other thing, is that I'm worried that the sound quality won't be great, because I'm going to have to play it off my phone into, like, the microphone.
Yeah, they won't know that. Don't worry about that. Let's have a bit of, come on, it's a show. So we can edit it in.
All right,
let's hear
your
jingle.
Playboy.
I can't wait for this.
I'm really quite scared.
Cannot wait
honestly.
for it.
I'm quite scared. Because there
I know
quite
you were
a lot of time
scared because
this.
several times over the weekend you were telling me how you were getting on with it, and then you kept asking, do you want to hear it? Do you want to hear it? And I was like, nope, I want to hear it on the show.
I mean, Chen listened to it, and she was like, you've got to remove some instruments. There's too many.
He told me that, and I just said, that means that you absolutely do not need to remove instruments.
Too many instruments. Let's go.
Right,
Come on,
I'm
James.
going to press the button. All right, hang on.
Cool.
Right, here we go. Can you at least not laugh too much until it's finished? It's only 15 seconds.
I'll try.
Okay.
Is that part of the jingle?
Yeah.
Right, here we go.
You told us not to laugh. It's funky bass already. Oh, I want more, James. That was not long enough.
Goodness. I'm there. I've been transported.
I need 2 minutes of that.
James, you're my favourite person. I was not expecting the sirens at the end.
That was what did me as well. Superb.
Can we all play that again?
Yeah, let's have it again.
A great start.
It is a good start.
And then this bit's like... Oh my God, James, this is brilliant. I don't know why the sirens are there, but I love it.
Do you remember when Ross played the music or whatever it was? That's what that is.
Farley's Fantasy Zone.
So what did you record? What did you use to make that?
GarageBand.
Did you pay a producer?
What? So then you went into the little dials on your vocals then?
Yeah, and then just manipulate them a bit.
Can you talk us through the process? I feel like I want like a fly-on-the-wall documentary.
I don't think I want to. I don't think you should talk through the process. We can't. Leave that to the artist, mate. Just appreciate what the artist comes out with.
When you see there's like interviews with like Zane Lowe and Kanye or someone like, here's the whiteboard when I first came up with the vision and this is kind of a vibe. I took authentic sounds from a police car and reversed them, and that started the process.
The siren was a late addition, but I just
but vital.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Right, okay. Well, I mean, that's part of why I love this feature so much. The other part is finding out what is in Farley's Fantasy Zone. So, what's in Farley's Fantasy Zone this week, James Farley?
I've got some updates from Jeff Grubb.
Jeffrey Grubb.
Yeah. He said quite a lot of things. Because he was one of those people that went on about how there was a Switch Pro and then there wasn't. And then he said, oh no, I really heard it's for next year. It was just wrong, but yeah. So these are his claims. He's got Xbox Live Gold. He says that this is still going to be phased out, but that Microsoft is still waiting for higher Game Pass subscribers in the range of 40 to 50 million before they do that. That's
they can't lose out on their revenue. They need to replace it with something. So it makes sense for them to wait until they've got another revenue stream that covers.
Yeah, I know, but hold on. This story was breaking about 3 years ago, how they were getting rid of Xbox Live Gold.
Yeah.
We're now saying 40 to 50 million.
They've got
around
double,
25?
Yeah, they've got a double.
So they got to double the amount of... I mean, okay.
Yeah. And then also he's got rumours about upcoming releases. He says that Perfect Dark, Avowed, Fable, Contraband, In Exile and the Coalition's next game are going to be coming in 2023, but the Coalition's one is coming in 24. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Speaking about the Coalition, today they released...
I've been really disappointed with the feature.
Well, this was always going to be the joke, wasn't it? It's that it just says things that are probably maybe happening, and we all go, oh, okay.
Exactly. That's why I never included this before as like a thing, because it's no point, is there? Anyway,
no, you didn't, because I told you not to.
Yeah, the trouble
now
is,
we had a place for it.
You start with a jingle that high quality, it's always going to go downhill.
Everything's going to be.
With the Coalition, they this is kind of semi-related, but they released a screenshot for the work they've been doing investigating Unreal Engine and seeing how that works on the Xbox Series consoles. And I think they're doing a talk at GDC. And they've released one screenshot of whatever they built in Unreal Engine 5 to check it out, and it looks good. But obviously we don't know what it's about. But
what is it? What's the screenshot of?
Oh, it's of
is it
like
a breakfast.
No, it's like it looks like an ancient temple or something.
Oh, okay.
But it's interesting that they're still in the investigation process. So I think anything they do is probably quite a way away. But it'll still be interesting to see whatever that talk is about. To see what they've learned with Unreal Engine 5, isn't it?
Cool. Are we still in Farley's Fantasy Zone?
I've got one last piece of fantasy, which is that,
don't say that.
he said that Microsoft.
Why didn't you say I've got what did you say? One last piece of fantasy?
Yeah, no, it doesn't make sense.
Why didn't you say Final Fantasy?
I don't know.
Here is my Final Fantasy. Come on, James.
Here is my Final Fantasy. So apparently Microsoft are going to invest in Konami. He said, there's rumblings about a big investment coming from the West into a Japanese company. That's something I've heard recently. That's what he said. So,
for God's
sake,
why? Who would buy
ages.
Konami at this point? What for?
I don't know.
Oh yeah, all those things that Konami have got that Microsoft really need to add to their portfolio. What?
But it's more about the IP, surely.
What have they got? What's the IP?
Castlevania, Metal Gear Solid,
new football game.
Soccer.
Yeah, but have they got Metal Gear Solid? Really?
Well, they've got the IP. They haven't got a person behind.
Technically own it, but they haven't got the fucking soul, have they?
No, but if they get it from Konami, they're like, hello, and we bring Kojima.
That's true. Yeah, Microsoft roll up and say, look, I know you own Metal Gear Solid, but you haven't got anyone who can actually make Metal Gear Solid.
Whoa. You reckon Microsoft could buy IP from? That's not what this rumor is.
No, it's just funny. It's just funny to imagine them rolling up and just being like, look, we actually know people who make good games, so if you sell us this, we can do something with it.
We'll get our main man on it, and by our main man, we mean Jeff Keighley. We couldn't afford Kojima, but we get Jeff Keighley, who's as close as you can get anyway.
Got his hanger-on.
He's making the game.
Do you know, if this happens, though...
Oh, my God. The amount of advertising for the Game Awards on the next Metal Gear Solid game will be absolutely shocking, won't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, Otacon, who won Best Game of the Year this year?
See, the other thing...
I can't on a mission. That clashes with the Game Awards. Sunday night on CBS.
The other thing I can really see happening as well is if they did this, then Major Nelson is definitely going to do something with Frogger as well. I think that's definitely going to happen.
Well,
they're going to stick Major Nelson in a box, and he's going to have to waddle around in a box, isn't he?
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, and it's only go like, Major!
Oh my God, no, he could be like Snake's like contact that he has to, he'd just be the Major Nelson.
Like, Major. It's Major Nelson.
Yeah.
Major, when's the Game Awards, Major?
Stop doing accents, Matt. They're always offensive. Okay, right, let's get out of Farley's fantasy zone, because that was I don't like being in there.
Too intense.
Yeah, it is too intense.
The
it's too much for me. Green. Should we get on to what you've been playing?
Go on.
Oh, let's.
This will be interesting. I've played nothing. Matt's played nothing. And I think Matt stands with me when I say we really apologise. Obviously, there's been a... No? You don't apologise?
No.
Oh, fair play.
No,
fair play, mate.
You know what? I do apologise. It's Slack. I know I should be playing something every week, but just haven't...
Yeah, no, right. I feel bad. Well, no, that's not true. I've been playing a hell of a lot of FIFA, but you don't want to hear about that. I played a bit of Rocket League, but you don't want to hear about that. I've been playing a little bit more Bully, but you don't want to hear about that. So I am, but I'm going to change. I'm going to change this week. I'm going to play something new, and I will talk about it next week. So we really apologise.
Me too. I mean, obviously, my mind's been elsewhere. It's been on the football. Let's be honest. That's over now. Yep. It didn't come home, and now I can focus on the real business, which is not playing games, and I should do.
Yeah, I mean, we've got 4 weeks now before the new season starts, so at least there's a short period before we get our football back. But no, that's it. I promise you, I will up my game. I apologise to our listeners. I apologise to my mum. I will not let this happen again. I feel bad. What have you been playing, James?
I've only played one thing really this week. I've been playing it for about 2 weeks or so. But I mean, as I said before, I don't really want to talk about it because it's not great. I mean,
okay. Sean, what have you been playing? Go on, James. Go on.
No, I played Deathmark, which was originally a Vita game, but it's a visual novel with like sort of puzzle elements. And it's the puzzle elements that I obviously didn't get on with very well. It's a horror-themed game with like this sort of irritating mechanic. They have this thing called Live or Die, whereby like at key moments when you're playing, you have to make like these decisions, and you have to do it very quickly. But often they're
giving this example of the decisions.
James, would you call them life or death decisions?
I probably would, but they're annoying because I can't even give you an example because they're usually like cryptic, like puzzles that are related to whatever's going on around you.
Riddle me this, riddle me that. Would you like to die or would you like to live?
Do you remember the Riddler? He kept messaging us in. They give him riddles that James would just Google and say the answer within 20 seconds of reading out his riddle.
Yeah, that was a low point of a show, wasn't it?
On, he was getting them off the internet. They weren't. He hadn't made them up himself.
All right, let's not go over that again.
They weren't original IP.
What do you mean? So you've got to make a decision quickly, but it's a riddle.
No, it's not usually a riddle. It's usually sometimes it's usually related to material that you've read, like in the game. Like it'll be things like which number is this? You have to like choose the right number based on stuff that you've read like previously. Like so it could.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, it is because it happens really quickly. You don't have much time to choose. If you get it wrong, it's game over. And so if you've been playing for a while, that's quite irritating. But then it's not, because you can start right back again from exactly where you died. So it doesn't really matter. It's just like, it can be just literally trial and error until you get it right.
What that sounds like?
What?
That sounds like when Joe's talking to me and I'm blatantly like fading out. I'm clearly not listening or whatever. And then she'll go, "You weren't listening, were you?" And I went, "Yeah, I was listening." "Well, what did I just say?" That sounds like what that game's doing.
Yeah.
Well, were you paying attention? Well, what did we say then? What was the number?
Yeah, tell me what the number was. Oh, and it's at 3. Oh no, actually there was no number. Some claims will be false. It was actually which letter were you on your phone, you prick.
Yeah. So I know that feeling.
So it's not, that's not great. And the game's split between like discussion, which is basically the standard visual novel thing of, you keep sitting there pressing the A button over and over again to scroll through the text. And my thumb hurts again because of this, because you just keep to press the same button over and over, which is kind of annoying.
Yeah. You should get, I reckon, you're playing on a Switch, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They got these things called the Hori Switch Pad.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah?
It's a great controller.
I was using the Pro controller. Which is a great controller. But the exploration's not great because also it feels. Do you remember those like the original Ultima game? When you were like sort of. No one remembers that, do they?
No, sorry.
I'm aware of it.
No professionals, please.
Okay, it's like kind of like 3D, like into the screen kind of thing, where you like press forward and it just goes forward a screen, press left and it goes left a screen.
Like an old dungeon crawler style.
Exactly, yeah. It's like that. So it's a 3D map, but it's just screen to screen, and which is fine. It's okay. But the story was good. I really enjoyed that, but the puzzles were irritating, and the saving was really messed up because it's not clear at all how you save at the beginning of the game. And I played for probably about an hour or so, and I thought, and then you go to an option that says you want to exit and quit, and I was like, okay, I'll do that. Go back, I hadn't saved anything, and they're like, oh, you've got to do the whole thing all over again from the beginning. So that was really irritating. But it's an average to good visual novel, I'd say. But the reason I played it is because the sequel is supposed to be significantly better. Like it's supposed to be one of the best visual novels on Switch, so that's why I played it, because I wanted to get some of the background for it.
What's the sequel called?
It's called Spirit Hunter NG, I think is the name. And so I want to play that next.
Okay,
catchy.
Yeah,
cool.
But there you go.
Well, there's a game that you're probably not going to bother getting because of that. But at least we got Sean Bell.
Hey,
to just slide in.
Yep.
With a game that you've never heard about, probably that's going to end up being an indie darling.
Yep.
So let's go. Yeah, come on, Sean.
I finished Yakuza 0.
No, for fuck. All right, good.
You did it.
I'm proud of you, Sean.
It's fucking brilliant.
I'm proud of it.
I really loved it.
That's one running joke off the table now.
Yeah.
Yep.
And off the plate.
What am I missing, Sean?
It's just like I was entertained enough, like in the initial, sort of 10, 15 hours, whatever. And I know, like James and I talked about this. Like, we've had the argument that like you can't. Or I agree with like Dave that you can't say, it gets good after 15 hours. Like that's not.
Yeah,
it's not good enough, right? But I was enjoying it enough, like initially, and I was like doing bits of the story, and then doing bits of the side, like the side missions. Got briefly addicted to the cabaret club management game. That was quite worrying. And then just about halfway through, like the story just fucking kicks it up, and it's just constant. Like it's like when you're binging a TV show, because every sort at the end of every episode you're just like, well, no, what happens next? Can't stop now. This is like and it's just like the fights just get absolutely massive, and they just feel amazing. Like the difficulty throughout is just perfectly pitched. I thought, James. I don't know if you're the same.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I just played it on normal. Obviously, games like this, I tend to go in, especially if it's a game that I'm enjoying for the story. I tend to go in sort of thinking, right, I'll start on normal, and let's face it, there's a good chance I'm going to knock it down at some point too easy, and I just didn't have to. And like I say, all these huge fights with like fucking 30, 40 other guys. And you're just beating the piss out of them, and they're all dickheads, so it's fine, and it just feels great. And it's like I say, you're fighting so many people, and yet it's designed in such a way that it's not like you fight one person and everyone else keeps a respectful distance as you do so, and yet so people multiple people will come at you, but it's sort of really well managed so that you're never like fully overwhelmed. But you are sort of constantly being vigilant, and you're making sure making good use of items that are lying around. Make sure you're managing your your heat bar, so you're using your heat attacks when you can. Like special moves where you fucking smash a bicycle on someone's face or whatever. It's so good. I just had a really good time with it.
It's like I said. It's like it. Those massive battles that you get into with that. It's like the end of Shenmue, but good.
Yeah,
the first Shenmue, where it's you're taking on like loads of people, and you feel, especially when the combat system starts to click, and then you can flick between the different styles as well as you're fighting, which is pretty good.
Yeah, and you start to establish a flow with it. I was in terms of Kiryu, I tended to stick with the default one, the brawler one, but then if I noticed there was a lot of items around, I'd switch to the beast mode, where just like his normal attacks will just pick up chairs and shit as he's swinging around and just hit people with them. So that was really good. And like the boss fights get like really cool and over the top as well. And just I just fully love like Kiryu as a character. He's brilliant. In that he's just he's a good dude, and just people just want to fucking start shit with him constantly, and he's the hardest person on the planet. And he's just like, no one can take him down, and he doesn't even particularly want to fight anyone. Like he would rather not.
That's what I loved about it, because it just he looks bored by by this like a lot of the time, which is cool. I like that. It's
but for some reason people just can't resist fighting him constantly. And it's great. It's quite silly, but also really serious at times. And even though it should be really jarring, but it's not. And it's just I loved it. It was there's definitely an element of like I was saying the other week, that there is an element of tourism / escapism in it. In that it's nice to be able to wander around it's like a buzzing nightlife scenario without no one's wearing masks or worrying about distancing or anything. There was something really pleasant about that as well. But just fully got its hooks into me. And it's been fascinating as well, because obviously Zero was obviously set before all the other games, but was made after most of them. So it's but playing that as my first game, I know a lot of series veterans sort of say you should start with Zero, but obviously it's written assuming that fans will have played most of the others. So for most fans, it's like this interesting insight into how some of the characters were before the events of the first Yakuza game and beyond. Whereas for me, it's like
when we were doing our Star Wars podcast. James, where if you've not heard it, it's been a long time since we've spoken about it, but it's available. It's still available everywhere. It's called Star Calls, and up until 2019, I hadn't seen a single Star Wars film. And James is obviously a big fan or whatever, so I watched every Star Wars film and called him afterwards and told him what I thought of it. Took notes throughout the films and then told him what I thought of it. And the amount of people that were saying, no, actually, watch it from episode 1. And I thought, well, no, I get why you would say that, but also at the same time, that'd be jarring, wouldn't it?
Well, that would completely spoils reveals from the later films, right? If you do it that way,
exactly. It's kind of And could you imagine watching episode 1, 2, and 3, and then in episode 4 seeing Luke like clearly having romantic feelings about Leia? Be like, hold on a minute.
But it works a lot better in Zero, doesn't it? Because it's. I mean, I've played all of them from this, and apart from 5 so far, and you get much more sort of backstory, but it still feels very organic, like the way that it then moves on to the first game.
It's totally.
It's not spoiling stuff.
It's not really spoiling anything. It is just like especially with the way it ends. Is obviously the 2 playable characters, Majima and Kiryu. Like it ends with them both being like, and now they are the character you remember, like from the character you're familiar with from the other games. Like they both have like a makeover at the end, and it's like yes, that they've become the person that I knew from the other games.
And that is what's done so well as well. But I mean, particularly, I feel Majima's story is like done very well, in the sense of like you find why he becomes like the mad dog or whatever, and it does all come into place and make sense.
Yeah,
a lot of it
totally
makes real sense.
Because like I was talking to you, wasn't I, about how when you first meet Majima, which like if you know him from the other games, which like all I knew about him is that he's like a bit of a loose cannon, right? And he's like he walks around in this like snakeskin jacket and nothing else. Like he just has his bare chest underneath it. And he's known as the mad dog of Shimano. But when you first see him in Zero, he's like totally 100% put together, like calm, really rational, like to the point that he like basically lets this guy like humiliate him in his own club. And it's fascinating because you're like, oh, I thought this guy was supposed to be nuts. What's going on here? And it's just the reasons for that are really interesting. And as you say, that transition into like him becoming the character that people knew is really well done. And like Kiryu's relationship with Nishiki as well, because like so I knew vaguely that Nishikiyama was like he's like the main antagonist of the first Yakuza game. And all Zero does is like flesh out that like no, they were like sworn brothers, and like and they would do anything for each other. And I think like I feel like that's going to give because spoilers, I have already started playing Yakuza Kiwami now. Like I feel like it gives that more weight. Whereas if you just played Kiwami without playing Zero, it's very much like, okay, like they're mates, and then there's a 10-year time skip, and now Nishiki's an arsehole. Whereas, like having played Zero first, like really adds to that, I think.
See, and that is what I really like with Majima as well in the later games, because like underneath there is still that other person as well. It's still there, and it's just it's that makes his actions in the other games a lot more understandable as well. Which rather than just being crazy or whatever. It's it's very good.
So I've gone from like, because I was really intimidated. Like Matt was saying, it's like, if you want to get into the Yakuza games or, Judgment, it's like getting into Yakuza feels like this huge commitment because there's fucking loads of them. But all I can say is, like having finished Zero, like I said to James, like, I'm going to have a break. Like I'll play something else. And then like maybe I'll see how I feel about playing Kiwami. But I'll just download it now just in case. And then the next day, I was just like, I was going to play Kiwami. Actually, I'm just going to crack on. And it's fascinating that like, although Kiwami is obviously a remake of the first game, the fact that like tonally it's seamless from Zero to Kiwami, even though the games were made like 15 years apart.
Because like visually and all that kind of thing, it's still running the same sort of stuff. Isn't it, pretty much?
And just the dialogue and everything, and the attitudes and stuff. It's just all. It just all fits.
It's quite cool though, seeing like that transition from like the 80s of like Kamurocho to like becoming kind of more run down. Like it's which is pretty interesting.
And I've same as I did with Pirates with Sea of Thieves. Now I'm like, I actually quite want to learn about the Yakuza now because I find it really interesting. So just like watched like a few mini documentaries and stuff, and it's just been fascinating. Like. The whole thing, like with Kiryu, is that he's trying to be like a good Yakuza, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of was a thing, like historically, but sort of as time has gone on, like they do tend to just be sort of more thuggish now and more like just about the money, and like there are modern Yakuza who are sort of wistful for the days when there was some honour to it, and they actually did, sort of rob from the rich to give to the poor and stuff. And that doesn't happen so much now. So I'm intrigued to see, like, as the games go on, like whether that's something that's portrayed in the games. As obviously, they move through the ages, and obviously, like with Kiryu's whole thing is that he's trying to be one of the good ones. I'm well intrigued by the whole thing now.
Well, one of the things that's pretty interesting about, I've always found interesting about that is like the role of the Yakuza after the Second World War, and like with the reconstruction of Japan, and they kind of start to go into that in some of the later games, which is, I mean, only like sort of referencing it and everything, and like, but that's I enjoyed that. I thought that was pretty interesting.
I wish I liked that game more. I ain't gonna lie, the stuff you're saying about it sounds amazing, but I wish I liked it more.
I mean, don't get me wrong, there are missteps with the writing, like, because obviously there's a lot of stuff where, I mean, the Cabaret Club management minigame, for starters, like, you're like giving women makeovers and stuff to make them more appealing to weird, lonely men who come in and pay money to talk to them. But at least, there's like so much of it is like, but it is representative of the era and, the society that it's portraying. But then there's stuff like, that there's a bit, no spoilers, but there's a bit where you have to find somewhere to stay the night because you are being like looked for by the Yakuza, right? And you have to hide effectively. And there's this like shanty town where, like a lot of the homeless community live. And like literally there's this guy who puts you up for the night and becomes your mate. And you never learn his name. He's just bearded homeless man. Mm-hmm. There's stuff like that. It's like, come on.
Yeah, they still have problems with that in Yakuza. Like a Dragon.
I remember you saying, like, weird stuff about homeless people.
Although there's stuff in that, it's still they tried to sort of talk it away, but there's still stuff in that I didn't feel comfortable with all that.
Yeah.
It was it was kind of
and it's strange that they drop the ball on little things like that because like as I say, generally the tone of it is like really nicely done. It's weird how a game about Yakuza and just endlessly beating people up feels weirdly wholesome and like
it's because of the way Kiryu is so sort of like generally just sort of inquisitive but also accepting of pretty much everything that's sort of going on around him really that's and sort of just well he just wants to understand
it's just
a lot of the time
non-judgmental
stuff which is good.
But equally, like so I got to the bit where it's like, right, once you have this next conversation, you're in the end game. Like, you will not be coming back to the main city, and I'm just like, oh fuck, man, I'm so excited. Like, the story's got so serious. This is going to be amazing. And I was like, but I should have one last look around town. And I just I walk down the street and I turn a corner, and the next thing I know, I'm buying a porno mag for a kid. Like, it's just, but again, even then, the way it's written and the way that little side quest comes together, there's not a good reason for it, but you understand Kiryu's thinking.
Yeah,
in buying a child,
to justify it of like why it's fine, and it's not. But is that one where you have to do it like multiple times as well, or something, and you have to like go to different locations or something, or was that a different one?
No, I think that's a different one. No, this is the one where like you find this kid and he's just like, oh, I wanted to buy this thing from this vending machine, and my mum said no, and like I don't understand. So Kiryu's like, oh well, yeah, fine, I'll do it, and then you realise it's a vending machine that sells porno mags. So you go back and tell him that you won't, and the kid just starts kicking off and saying like, oh, adults are all the same, like you're all like you always lie, you always say you're going to do stuff and then you don't. And Kiryu sort of has this little internal monologue. He's like, I knew grown-ups like that when I was a kid, and they fucking sucked. So I don't want to be like them. And buys a teenager a porno.
So he bought pornography for a child.
Well, I think he's a teenager. I think he's supposed to be a teenager. You can't really tell.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I know a teenager would say grown-ups. refer to adults as grown-ups. That's definitely a teenage thing, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
Okay,
yeah,
cool,
really good. Liked it. And as I say, I'm playing. I'll probably take it a bit. I was going to say I'll probably take it a bit slower, but actually it's taken me about 2 years to finish Zero, so maybe not. But I am playing a bit of Kiwami now and enjoying it. So yeah,
it's cool.
That's it.
Anything else?
That is it.
Let's get on to questions then.
Oh God, yeah, Christ. Sorry, I don't know. I don't know why. I just forgot that questions were a thing.
That's still a thing.
Weird, isn't it?
Well, that's a way to respect our listeners, isn't it? Go on.
Oh, do you have to do these? Fucking hell. If you want to contact us, go to tcgs.co/dear TCGS. Ainsley Harriet has done that. He's a big fan of the show. Says, Dear TCGS connoisseurs, I recently played through the campaign of Call of Duty 4 again, and it reminded me of how impressed I was with the all gillied up sniper level of the game. Of the game at the time, and how well it still holds up to this day. Do you guys have any individual levels or missions in video game campaigns that really blew you away with great design or clever mechanics?
I'll tell you what I really liked recently was, Matt, when we played It Takes Two, and that level with the we had to chuck the nails, like to keep things in place.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah,
it was. I mean, so much of that game. I would
fire the nails, and you would then swing off the nails to swing to the next ledge. Yeah, really good. I mean, that game's full of great design, clever mechanics.
I mean, how you can play that game and not mention the music level? Because that
I was going to, but then I thought,
it's been out a while.
I was going to, but then I just thought if I say anything about that, you're just going to have a go. So
I've still not played it and do intend to. Is this going to?
I will not spoil it. Then okay, fine. But that bit is very good. The level in Titanfall 2 where you are in a factory that's building a level.
Oh, yeah.
Or it's building like houses or something, and it's all the pieces coming together in the factory, and you've got to hop onto the different pieces. And oh god, that was so good, that campaign.
I mean, I was going to say,
like, do a run of that
Titanfall 2, you could basically pick any level, couldn't you?
Yes.
Like they were all great for one reason or another.
That whole campaign was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, obviously the time jumping one as well, brilliant. The one, Sayonara Wild Hearts, that stage where it's, you're battling, we're not battling them at this point, but it's the twins, and they're clicking their fingers with the music, and every time they click their fingers, there's like two sort of dimensions to the level, and you're flicking between them. So the Titanfall thing reminded me of that. That's really cool as well. Any others?
Yeah, it was a bit Singularity, wasn't it? Where it would...
Oh, yeah.
It would. Yeah, you had that thing, didn't you? The warp thing, and it took you to another dimension or whatever. Yeah, that was, and that's brilliant as well when you learn how they did that. There was an article on it. There might have been a video, but how they actually did that, where obviously they didn't have the quick load in, load out thing. Yeah. So with a rift in time, with a rift apart, Ratchet and Clank, it is literally loading in a level when you go through to another dimension. Whereas with that game, it had two levels, like above and below each other.
Oh, okay.
And when you press the button, you would just warp to the level below.
Right.
And then, so both levels were loaded in at the same time, but that's how they would switch between the two. It's pretty incredible.
Is that I've ever told you about?
Incredible. That game
in Sea of Thieves. When you die, you go to the ferry of the damned or whatever for 30 seconds before you can get out again. And like sometimes you'll be on there and you can hear like a ship battle going on, and it's like, whoa, the fuck, what's going on? This is weird. It's just because the ferry of the damned is just like underneath like a bit of the map, like the world map. Like it's literally placed underneath it, and that's why sometimes you can hear stuff going on. The what is it, Boundary Break videos. They're so good. Yeah. They're so good. You honestly, if you've got even the slightst interest in how video games are put together, then I think that's probably the most accessible way of learning a few things. The amount of times that HUDs, I never even thought of this, but the amount of time that HUDs are literally just pieces of, just stuff just floating in front
within
of
the world, but just floating in front of you. Yeah, it's so good. I highly recommend that series. But oh god, there's so many. I mean, there's Halo missions that I've literally played over and over. What was the famous one from 1? Is it the Cartographer?
The Silent Cartographer is very, very good.
Yeah, I mean, that one was just blew me away when I first played it. It just felt so open and everything. It was too good. But yeah, I mean, the opening mission from Time Splitters 2 is up there as well.
Oh yeah, the dam.
It totally captured the feeling of GoldenEye.
Yeah, it's a shame that none of the others
did.
did.
Games like this, then
yeah,
none of the others did at all. But that level really stood out. God, yeah, there's too many to mention, really. But I think Time Splitters 2 is probably up there with one of the best campaigns, first-person shooter campaigns.
Time Splitters
definitely.
2?
What's that?
You said Time Splitters 2?
Yeah.
Sorry, Titanfall 2. Titanfall 2 is definitely up there with one of the best campaigns ever. It's so good, and it's full of moments that you could just go back to. I need to do a new run of that, actually. It was really good fun.
Yeah, my answer is the Jeff level from Half-Life Alyx, where you're in an area where there's this monster who's unkillable chasing you, who is blind, but he can hear you, and you're in. It's basically like it's like a stock room of like a vodka factory. Basically, glass bottles are everywhere, so you're trying to navigate the level and try not to knock into glass bottles, because obviously as soon as the thing hears you, it's going to run over and destroy you. And it's just loads of incredibly clever moments where you've got to make noise, or you've got to like distract him, and then you've got to use them to do other things. It's just an absolute masterclass in.
It sounds horrible.
In
what happens if he gets you?
This sounds horrible.
Well, you die. You get messed up. I mean, it's not instant. It's not instant death. Okay. But yeah, you don't want that to happen. But there's just loads of really clever moments where you've got to like be in the same room with him, or you've got, even though you obviously clearly don't want to. And yeah, it's just absolutely brilliant. Cool. The other day I was thinking, I would have to replay that because I played it with the Quest attached to the PC, but that was before I upgraded my PC a while ago.
Yes, it's
just so bloody good, that game.
You may recall, for some reason, my PC would run it just fine, and then it would just fucking shut down after about 40 minutes. But yeah, I've had a new graphics card and stuff since, so I should try it again. But then that level you've just described sounds awful. So, not awful, but I don't think I can handle it.
I thought, I heard about this level, this Jeff is the name of the level, and I was like, I didn't know what it's about, but I heard it was cool. And then when it's clear this is the level, and I'm like, oh man, I don't want to do this. But no, it's not scary. It's just you're constantly kind of amazed with how clever it is, and yeah. And there's bits you're like, okay, I think I've done this now. Oh no, I've actually got to do this thing I absolutely don't want to do to move forward. But in like that's really good that they're making me do that. It was not scary. It's just it's just incredibly creative, and you're like, wow, this just feels. It's just absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
And yeah, and the other thing is obviously, the Quest now natively supports wireless stuff from PC, doesn't it?
Yeah, Airlink, yeah.
Right, my dog Skip.
Hey!
Here he is.
Hey!
Here he is.
Has my dog Skip gone into his financial situation?
No.
Whether the dog actually paid or not. I've gutted.
It says, right, Mario comes into TCGS Towers for an interview on the podcast. Each of you have one question to ask him. What are your questions?
Oh my God, what a good question.
Yeah.
I would like to know what his plumbing qualifications actually are.
Oh God, what a terrible question. But okay, fine. City and Guilds, that's nothing. I've got City and Guilds, and I didn't even really go to school. It'd definitely be about Luigi. Like, it would have to be something what do you mean?
What sort of question about Luigi?
Like, what's the relationship like? We don't really know what their relationship is like.
But then surely Mario would just be like, he's like, our relationship's brilliant. Luigi's fine playing second fiddle. He loves it. It's great.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if that's true. Because, like, do you think Mario at some point goes, all right, okay, so Nintendo have come to us, Luigi, and they want to do... Why they'd have gone to Mario for this, I don't know. They want to do a Luigi's Mansion, but I don't think me being captured really works with my brand. So I'm not really up for this. What do you think? And he's like, well, we're definitely doing it. It's my game series. Like, come on, mate, just be captured for a bit. What if this time you got captured? Well, I'm the fucking... This is my thing. I can't get captured.
You'd be like, you can't...
Don't take the piss. That's that's happened too often.
It's like, you just let me have this one thing. Just this one thing. It's...
yeah. Maybe, look, if they don't offer me enough, Yoshi can get captured. I think maybe that would probably be more interesting anyway, the dynamic there. But, for fuck's sake, Mario, go fuck yourself, you and your brand. Go on, what would yours be, James?
I'd ask, why not a full beard? I think is what I'd like to know.
Yeah. Valid question.
Good question.
Valid question.
Like, have you ever thought, Mario, that now we're in the 2000s, that a moustache is probably... Come on.
Not been a good look for a while, has it? Let's face it.
It's not, is it?
I do sort of want to know what mushrooms taste like.
Well, I mean, if you go to somewhere like...
We can sort out
supermarket,
Asda... Yeah,
you know what I mean?
The supermarket, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or a random woods in like August, September, October time.
I've decided that they taste like, the little coconut mushrooms you can get. I think Mario mushrooms taste like that.
Hang on. Right, okay. Now I'm getting confused with toads. I thought you meant he was going around like licking them or something.
No, well, we've had this discussion, haven't we? Whether or not the mushrooms that he eats to power up are in any way related to the toads that he is friends with. But I don't know. I want to know what the ones he eats. I want to know what they taste like. I will have to ask him. But if Mario was real and I'd just say, look, just bring some in, and I'll just eat some. I can ask him something else.
Yeah, maybe that's what you do. You go, if I eat one, will I go big?
Oh yeah, what's Super Sean look like?
If I eat one, will I go big, or is it just for you?
Yeah, is it safe to do during the interview?
Yeah.
It must be, right? You would go big, because if anyone has... You can make anyone big in Mario with a mushroom.
Yeah, they love it.
Big and I'll get a hat. I can't wait.
Super Sean.
Yeah.
Super Sean Brothers.
Yeah. And I can trample on things, and I can take one lethal hit without dying.
And then Mario go, well, that's why I'm not going to bring any mushrooms in. Because you've clearly misunderstood the power involved.
Yeah, it's like, look, you're not taking this seriously. Some people can't you think this is a fucking game, mate. It's not, right?
Mate, I got a mushroom kingdom to protect, yeah? What the fuck are you doing? Yeah. Do you reckon he'd be like... Do you reckon he would be as happy as Charles Martinet is in his interviews? Or do you reckon he'd genuinely be like, I'm sick of this now?
Oh no, he'll be a total knob.
You reckon?
Yeah. It's all like, hey, and but once the cameras are off, you're like, for fuck's sake, get in front of
Fag.
I can't do this anymore. I'm sick of it. I want to grow a beard.
I think when Sean asks his question, I think he'd do that thing where he'd like stand up and start taking his microphone off and all that, and just be like,
fucking unprofessional.
Like we talked about this. Yeah. Like, we're going to talk about the mushroom stuff.
Yeah. And then he'll be like a Tom Cruise or Christian Bale, like, haven't you got anything better to ask me? Do you know how many of these things I've done? And you're the 60th interviewer today, and you've asked me that basic question. Where are you from? This is pathetic. Get out of this trailer.
We'll do that. Feeling a little bit attacked, but that's fine.
Well, I mean, that's not me. That's just what Mario would be like. That's Mario.
Alright, okay.
My Dog Skip also asks, which side of the keeper do you all aim when you take a penno? And why does it keep being fished out of Rose Ed?
Left side.
Why you got to do this to us? Why have you got to bring up penalties today?
Sorry, should I not have read this one?
All days.
No.
There's another one further down. I'll delete it.
I used to always go to the right of the keeper. Like, as I'm looking at them, I used to aim right. I just found it easier. James?
To the left.
Top corns. Yeah. Top bins. Yeah?
Yeah.
Matt?
Being left-footed, I would like to have more control and just like side-foot it to their right, my left, but I'll probably just smash in the right and probably win the Euros.
I love a penalty shootout. If we got
would I.
But remember we did that at EGX?
In goal. Yeah, but no, that's not the same thing.
No,
an
actual not, but,
penalty shootout, we got someone in goal and we all took it in turns.
I would love that.
That EGX thing's got one of my favourite videos from that. Was when
Let's contact David Seaman. Is he on Twitter?
James, we'll come back to that in a second. But the funny thing about David Seaman is that on my Facebook the other day, it said like people you might know, and it was David Seaman and his partner.
Right, so he is on Twitter. Is the answer to that question?
That's Facebook.
Okay. Well, David
but I'm fairly sure he'll be on Twitter.
Well, you can't assume these things.
He's the David Seaman.
See,
right. Let's get David Seaman down a park, and we record us taking penalties against him.
I don't think we can afford him
via Zoom.
That would be one of the best moments of my life. I would love that.
Like a social, like a via Zoom. Yeah, we'll do that. Where we'll just go, okay, 3, 2, 1, top left, and it will go bottom right. Oh fuck! Straight down the middle. I dived. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. Okay, yeah, that'll be great. That'll be talks over our penalties as well after
that. Okay.
Maria Mendieta says, "Dear TCGS Coyotes, with your banter being consistently hilarious, all 4 of you seem to have a strong grasp on the principles of comedy. However, the stand-up comedy game genre has been ignored for too long, and I was wondering which developer you'd like to see usher in its return. It's been a while since Comedy Night on Xbox Live, and it'd be nice to see who amongst you can rightfully claim to be the next Frankie Boyle, or at least dress like him." I don't know.
What developer could do this? Is that the question?
Yeah. Which developer could usher in the return?
Definitely not EA or anyone that's going to charge money for time on stage. Get rid of them. Oh god, the PokerStars VR devs could do an incredible stand-up VR game where people are in the audience and they could just like get some of those props and chuck them out. Yeah. Comedy room of that. Brilliant.
That would be good.
That'd be VR. That'd be so
and
good.
If you could just go and just watch shows, and they would mostly be rubbish. But it would just be, it'd be just an interesting space for people to try things out. And as you say, just having that little bit of sort of, physicality with your head and your arms, waving around.
Oh, God, it would be so good.
That would be smart.
A VR comedy club game. Yeah. If you're listening,
make it.
Give me a call. Yeah. We'll work out. We'll split the money 50-50. Yeah. 50% for the developers and 50% for me, because I...
Because it's different, obviously, but like the Bridge Crew streams, like part of the reason why that was so funny is because it's all of like looking around and like gesticulating at each other and stuff, and that's what makes it funny.
Yeah, that's totally what part of the fun of PokerStars VR is, that you're all sitting around a table and it's like the physicality of it.
Yeah.
Pulling out a gun at each other and all that sort of stuff, chucking bottles at people's heads and that. It's great. I mean, you watch some of that. You watch some of the early VR videos that were doing the rounds. That bar fight one was just hilarious. Like, it was so funny. I love that stuff.
Yeah. Right, last one, quick one, comes from Tim Henman. He's big fan of the show. Big fan of the show.
Tiger Tim.
He says, "Matt, which are you a bigger fan of, Sega Rally, Hideo Kojima, or Splinter Cell?"
Sega Rally.
Because you've actually played that one.
Because he's actually played that one.
I have also played Hideo Kojima. I played him like a fiddle.
I love that Hideo Kojima game.
He does.
Right, okay. Well, that's it for this week. Matt, let's go through the socials, please.
Well, I know everyone skips this bit, but whatever. Tonight, if you're listening to this on Wednesday, we're doing a TCGS Talk Server live on Twitch for everyone, not just a Patreon thing, for everyone. We're talking over Farm Candy, the documentary about video games from 2000 with the host himself, Ian Lee. And that is I'm really excited about that. It's tonight, if you're listening to this on Wednesday, as I said. Tonight, 9 p.m, twitch.tv/TCGSCo. Please come over and watch that documentary. I've never seen it before. I think Sean has either. No. James and David saw it a long time ago, so it's going to be fascinating to both watch it and also, have Ian Lee there as well to ask some questions. It's going to be real awesome. On Thursday, Dave and James, are you playing Operation Tango this week?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe Thursday, Dave and James will play Operation Tango from 9.
We hadn't spoken about it, so I'm not 100% sure, but I think we are. I think we're playing it.
Yeah, I'd like to play it, yeah.
Okay.
Well, they both sound really keen, so...
that's kind of convincing.
They're both on Twitch. If you miss them live, you can also watch on YouTube as well. Just search TCGS on YouTube. But back to the Twitch thing. Yeah, if you've got Amazon Prime, you've got Twitch Prime Gaming. With that, you get one free sub every single month. And we do hugely appreciate it. If you go over to our channel and give us your free sub. It doesn't cost you a penny. unless you're obviously paying for Prime, in which case it does. But it's a free added bonus to your existing Prime subscription. And we're on Patreon, patreon.com/TCGS for exclusive podcasts, for live talksovers, and some other stuff as well. And tcgs.co is the website with links to the store and to our gorgeous Discord. They're all on there, and links to our other social profiles as well.
Cool. Well, James, you're not here next week.
That's right, yeah. I'm not here.
We have Sarah Dyer from Splash Damage joining us next week, so look forward to that. We hope you have a wonderful week, and thank you so much for living it. We'll catch you soon.
We will.
Goodbye.
In a week.
Goodbye.
Well, before then, if you come into the live stream event that we're doing.
That's true.
Right?
They won't though, will they? The
fucking also put it now as a podcast.
So that's true, yeah, we are.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Goodbye.